A photo captured Steve and Vanessa walking arm in arm, looking close and intimate. I showed it to Steve and confronted him. He responded, "Well, of course, Vanessa is younger and cuter. It's only natural I'd cheat. I'm getting remarried before my overseas assignment, so hurry up and sign the divorce papers, old woman." He insulted me harshly and shoved the divorce papers in my face. "You see, I've been assigned to an overseas post. That's why I want to finalize the divorce quickly and marry Vanessa." I was so stunned by his attitude that I couldn't say a word. Understood. I immediately agreed to the divorce. I am Melissa, 39 years old. I work for a general trading company. I live with my husband, Steve, who is 3 years older than me. We both work at the same company. I'm in the planning department, and he's in sales. 5 years ago, I was also in the sales department, where Steve was a dependable senior colleague. As we worked together, we grew closer, eventually started dating, and later got married. After our marriage, I utilized a company's internal job transfer system to move to the planning department. While working in sales, I had developed an interest in planning work and dreamed of one day making the switch. Of course, sales and planning involve different responsibilities and require distinct skills. At first, I struggled and often felt discouraged, but Steve supported me wholeheartedly. "Melissa, you're amazing. You're pursuing what you want to do. I'm here to cheer you on. Keep at it." His words lifted my spirits more than I can say. Even after our marriage, Steve respected my wish to continue working, and I'm still grateful to him for that. Thanks to him, I'm now able to pour myself into my challenging but fulfilling job. Lately, however, Steve's behavior has been strangely off. Despite once understanding my passion for work, he's suddenly become quite harsh. "What? Dinner isn't ready yet?" One day, I got home earlier than Steve. I immediately started preparing dinner. However, I couldn't finish cooking before Steve arrived home. When he walked in and saw me cooking in the kitchen, he let out a sigh. "I'm starving. Sorry, I'll have it ready soon. Could you chop some vegetables for me?" Steve had always been helpful with household chores before, so as usual, I asked for his help, but he frowned at my request. I've been out all day, running around. And now you want me to cook, too?" With a disgruntled tone, Steve complained and then sat on the sofa, scrolling through his phone. "Take your time. You can handle it, Melissa." "What? I just finished work too, you know. I'm as tired as you are. Is it really so much to ask for a little help?" I immediately countered, but Steve glared at me. "Listen, I work on my feet all day, unlike you. You planning folks just sit in meetings all day, right? It's not even the same level of exhaustion. There's no need to talk like that." Sure, I knew how tough the sales department could be. I used to work there, so I understand Steve's challenges well. But that doesn't mean working in the planning department is easy. I tried to defend myself, but Steve cut me off. "Must be nice, working in an air-conditioned office all day. Maybe I should transfer to planning, too. If you can do it, I can handle it with no problem." Steve kept talking without bothering to listen to what I had to say. Enough already. When I transferred to the planning department, you supported me. So why are you saying these things now? Because I come home completely drained, and dinner's not even ready. You barely do any housework lately, either. If you can't manage both, just quit your job. Steve is competent at his work and highly valued by his superiors. I understand the stress he's under because I've been through the same experience. I also know how grueling sales targets can be. He was probably irritable because of sheer exhaustion. Thinking that arguing further would not solve anything, I ignored him and continued preparing dinner. Steve didn't help at all. After silently finishing his meal, he left the table without a word. Of course, cleaning up was left to me. It seemed Steve didn't want to interact with me. After taking a quick shower, he headed straight to the bedroom. From that day on, Steve stopped doing any housework altogether. When I tried to complain, he'd just argue back, "I'm tired. Housework is a wife's responsibility, right? If you can't handle it, just quit your job." It seemed Steve had developed the mindset that if I couldn't manage housework, I should quit working altogether. I eventually grew tired of asking him for help and started doing all the housework by myself. Even so, Steve continued to show his irritation every day. "Can't you fold the laundry a bit neater? Why'd I have to refold it myself?" To make matters worse, Steve would talk about how hard sales was every single evening during dinner. "Do you have any idea how many times I've visited that major client? I'm out there sweating and working hard, way more than you. That's why I'm the top performer this month, and my boss already has high expectations for me next month." Steve would endlessly go on with stories that were somewhere between complaints and bragging. All I could do was sit quietly and listen. If I tried to interrupt, it would only make him angry again. To be honest, talking with Steve had started to feel like a chore. But one day, Steve talked about something other than himself. "My junior colleague is really talented. I think she has really great potential. It's been a while since I've seen someone this motivated." "Oh, that's nice to hear." Steve's expression was unusually cheerful. It struck me as odd. Steve rarely praised his colleagues. He was more prone to complaining about them. That junior colleague must have really left an impression on him. A few days after that conversation, I happened to see Steve at work. He was chatting happily with a young female employee. "Hey, Steve. Good work." "Oh, it's you, Melissa." When he saw my face, Steve muttered in a bored tone. The female employee glanced at me before quickly turning back to Steve. "Steve, who's this?" "Oh, she's my wife." Steve then introduced a female employee to me. Her name was Vanessa, his junior colleague. She was 25 years old and in her 3rd year at the company. Steve is always so helpful to me. He's such a reliable senior colleague. For some reason, Vanessa called Steve by his first name. Steve's face lit up with delight as Vanessa praised him. "See, I told you about her the other day. She's the talented junior colleague I mentioned." "Oh, I see. I never imagined that the junior colleague Steve liked so much was a woman." It was as if I didn't exist in his world. He continued chatting happily with Vanessa. Both Steve and Vanessa seemed comfortable with each other, exchanging frequent casual touches. Unable to watch any longer, I said, "Well then, I need to go back to work," and walked away. Of course, there's nothing wrong with getting along with a junior colleague, but their relationship seemed to exceed the boundaries of mere coworkers. Still, that was just my assumption. I had no evidence to confront him, so all I could do was keep quiet and observe. The next day, Steve came home and informed me that there would be a sales department drinking party. He said he'd be home late and didn't need dinner. Normally, I wouldn't have paid much attention to something like that. But now, suspicious of his relationship with Vanessa, I couldn't shake my unease. Drinking parties are fine, but don't stay out too late. "Okay, I know, I'm not a child, and you seem to like Vanessa a lot, but don't do anything inappropriate, okay?" The moment those words slipped out, Steve frowned. "What do you mean by inappropriate? Are you saying I'd make a move on Vanessa?" "Well, you seem unusually close. Calling each other by your first names, for instance. What's wrong with that?" "We're close, so calling each other by our first names isn't a big deal." Steve's voice grew louder and louder. He kept insisting that Vanessa was just a junior colleague. "Don't you trust me? It's not that I don't trust you, but I don't want anyone else to misunderstand either. Please be careful. The sales department staff might know that the two were just friendly coworkers, but employees from other departments might see it differently. After all, it's unusual for a man and a woman to touch each other casually without reason. I only wanted to warn him so others wouldn't get the wrong idea. But it seemed my words didn't resonate with Steve. Unbelievable. You're just jealous of Vanessa, aren't you? She's young and beautiful, after all. Unlike you, an old woman. I get it, though. It must be hard." "What are you talking about? I'm not jealous at all." All right. You just don't want to admit it. If you have time to think about such pointless things, why not put more effort into housework? Your cooking's been pretty lazy lately. Honestly, if I end up cheating on you, you'll have brought it on yourself." Steve seemed to have convinced himself that I was jealous of Vanessa. No matter how much I told him he was mistaken, he just brushed me off. Even when I tried to explain sincerely, he wouldn't listen at all. I began to lose all reasons to continue living as his wife. Not long after, I heard a troubling rumor from a colleague. Apparently, after the sales department drinking party, Steve and Vanessa disappeared into the night together. On the day of the party, despite my warnings, Steve had come home late. I couldn't reach him when I called, and he finally returned around 3 a.m. What on earth had they been doing during that time? Moreover, I heard they were quite drunk and walking arm in arm, looking very close. "Here, take a look. Someone from the sales team took this photo." So it's true. The photo showed exactly what my colleague described: Steve and Vanessa walking closely together, smiling and leaning into each other. I was speechless as I stared at the photo, but I couldn't stay silent forever. That night, I confronted Steve when he got home. "Hey, what's this photo? Are you cheating on me with Vanessa?" The moment he saw the picture, Steve's face showed guilt. "What are you talking about? We just decided to grab another drink together, that's all." Though clearly shaken, Steve denied the affair. But as I pressed him further, he grew irritated. "Enough already? Fine, you're right. I'm dating Vanessa." In the end, Steve admitted to the affair. He confessed that their relationship had started about 6 months ago. So, my suspicions were correct. He had been cheating all along. As I reeled from the shock, Steve became defiant. "Of course I'm cheating. Vanessa's young and cute. Why wouldn't I? You think I could love an old woman like you? I'm planning to remarry before my overseas assignment. So hurry up and sign the divorce papers, old woman." He hurled insults at me while shoving the divorce papers in my face. But then Steve said something unexpected that made me freeze for a moment. Noticing my reaction, he smirked triumphantly. "Oops, I hadn't told you, had I? Turns out I'll be heading overseas soon for work. That's why I need to finalize the divorce quickly and marry Vanessa." Hearing this, I was stunned. "Wait, seriously?" "Of course I'm serious. What's the matter? Are you jealous? If it wasn't for this divorce, you might have joined me overseas." I was too disgusted by his attitude to respond. How could he ridicule me so cruelly? Still, I feigned sadness in front of Steve, but I immediately agreed to the divorce. Fine. Perhaps he hadn't expected me to agree so easily, as Steve's jaw dropped in surprise. Oh, okay. Well, that makes things simple. Just sign this, then." But Steve's surprise lasted only a moment. He quickly broke into a smile and handed me the divorce papers. I began the process as he urged. all while smiling mischievously to myself, thinking, he really has no idea. Of course, if we're getting divorced, you'll be paying compensation for the court settlement, right? I had evidence of his affair, and he had just confessed to it himself. It was only fair that he compensate me. Steve paused to think for a moment before replying. Well, he'll be living alone from now on, won't you? Fine, I'll pay. After all, once I'm overseas, I'm sure to get promoted anyway. It seemed he pitied me, and surprisingly, he had no objections to the amount I proposed. With the compensation settled, there was no reason for me to stay any longer. I decided to leave immediately. Wanting nothing more than to put distance between us, I moved into a monthly apartment near my workplace. I had savings and a good salary, so I had no trouble supporting myself. I planned to enjoy my newfound independence and embrace my single life. But just as I was settling into this new chapter, Steve began calling me incessantly dozens of times. Since it was late at night, I figured we could talk the next day at work and ignored the calls for a while. However, the calls didn't stop. Growing annoyed by his persistence, I finally answered. Hello. What on earth do you want at this hour? The moment I picked up, Steve shouted, Melissa, you told everyone about the affair, didn't you? He sounded furious. According to him, rumors about his and Vanessa's affair had spread throughout the office. Now colleagues were giving him cold looks, and even his boss was becoming suspicious. Why the hell am I going through this? It's all your fault. You must have been the one to spill the secret. This is defamation. He was so worked up that he hurled accusations and insults at me over the phone. But I hadn't told anyone about his affair. The rumors spreading aren't my doing. Don't you have any other suspects in mind? There's no one else. It has to be you. You told everyone, even as I denied it. Steve stubbornly insisted that I was the culprit. Left with no choice, I decided to explain how the rumors had likely started. The rumors spread because of your own actions. The whole reason Steve and Vanessa's affair came to light was the sales department's drinking party. That night, the two of them were openly canoodling in front of the other employees. Anyone who saw them would naturally find their relationship suspicious. On top of that, someone had taken a photo of them walking arm in arm, with eyewitness accounts from employees and photographic evidence. Rumors about the two spread like wildfire through the office. For you and Vanessa, it might have seemed normal, but I warned you, didn't I? Not to do anything that would raise suspicion. Sales department employees had seen the two touching each other and chatting happily during the party. Some had even discreetly told me about it afterward. So it wasn't surprising that the rumors spread. Apparently, Steve hadn't considered this possibility at all. What the hell? Are you saying it's our fault? The person who assumed we were having an affair and spread the rumors is the one to blame. This is slander. Even after hearing my explanation, Steve couldn't accept that he had brought this upon himself. Eventually, he began pressing me to reveal who had taken the photo of him and Vanessa. I won't be satisfied until I confront them. You know who it is, don't you, Melissa? But I didn't know who had taken the photo. The colleague who showed it to me had said it was sent to them by someone else. I think it was someone from the sales department. But if you don't know, there's no way I would. Are you kidding me? Don't mess with me. This all started because of you. Clearly unsatisfied with my response, Steve turned his anger back toward me when he realized he couldn't identify the person who spread the rumor. You're the one who told people about the divorce and changed your family name. That's why these rumors spread in the first place. What? After the divorce, I had reverted to my maiden name right away and informed my colleagues about the situation. Apparently, Steve believed that my actions had caused the rumors to spread even further. If you hadn't told anyone about the divorce, people wouldn't have believed the affair rumors. This is all your fault. Why would you go around sharing private matters like that? Steve raised his voice, blaming me with increasing intensity. But no matter how much he accused me, I couldn't see how any of this was my fault. There's nothing strange about reverting to my maiden name after a divorce. And I only told my colleagues because they'd be confused otherwise. That's all there is to it. Even so, my rumors are spreading, so you should have been more careful about how you handled things. The affair is a fact, isn't it? If people found out, that's entirely your responsibility. I don't see why I need to tiptoe around you. When I said that, Steve fell silent. He probably couldn't argue back, because he knew I was right. Whatever. With that, Steve spat out those words and hung up the phone. But the next day, during lunch break, Steve came all the way to the planning department and called me out. I need to talk to you. Come with me. Not wanting to escalate the situation in front of my colleagues, I quietly followed him. As soon as we entered an empty meeting room, Steve began to speak. Are you seriously planning to demand compensation from Vanessa for the divorce settlement? In fact, after Steve admitted to the affair, I had sent a certified letter to Vanessa. It must have reached her by now. Steve glared at me with a tense expression. She came to me for advice, and I was shocked. What's the meaning of this? What are you talking about? Of course, I'm demanding compensation. She knowingly got involved with a married man. Don't be ridiculous. I said I'd pay the settlement, but I never agreed to you going after Vanessa too. Steve seemed to think that paying the compensation himself would resolve everything, but that was never going to be the case. Vanessa had to face the consequences of her actions too. That's why I had promptly started the process to claim compensation from her as well. You're not satisfied with just your ex-husband paying up. Now you're demanding money from young Vanessa too. How greedy can you get? Steve sneered at me, but at this point, his contempt didn't bother me in the slightest. Say whatever you like. I haven't done anything wrong. The blame lies entirely with you and Vanessa. When I said this, Steve's eyes flared with anger. Enough already. That unlovable attitude of yours is what I've always hated. With that, Steve began venting one grievance after another. Apparently, his feelings for me had cooled ever since I transferred to the planning department. He had assumed that after we got married, I would quit my job and become a housewife. And instead, you neglected housework to throw yourself into work. How absurd. Marrying someone like you was a mistake. Right after the transfer, you were cooperative with the housework. Why are you saying this now? Because I met Vanessa. Steve declared this with a proud expression on his face. Apparently, Vanessa had repeatedly said things like, when I get married, I'll quit my job and dedicate myself to housework for my husband. She had also made remarks that praised Steve while belittling me. Vanessa made me realize how ridiculous it was for a husband to help with housework. I had been blindly following your lead until then. I see. So the change in your attitude was because of Vanessa. If I hadn't met Vanessa, I'd still be your servant. I'm truly grateful to her. That's why I can't forgive you for trying to make her suffer. Steve's anger continued to escalate. It seemed he had forgotten that we were still at work. As his voice grew louder, get as angry as you want. But are you okay with the other employees overhearing this conversation? Steve suddenly snapped out of it and fell silent. My words seemed to have brought him back to his senses. At this point, talking to him further would be a waste of time. I have a meeting after this, and I'd like to have lunch soon. I knew that bringing this up would provoke Steve, but I didn't want to let my work be affected. So I cautiously made the suggestion, and Steve let out a deep sigh. Fine, I get it. It's useless to say anything to you. Huh, that's exactly what I should be saying. I'll pay Vanessa's compensation too. Since I'm being transferred overseas, my salary is going up, so I can afford it. And I'll overlook the rumors. Once I'm abroad, it won't matter. By the time I return, everyone will have forgotten about it. Steve spoke with an unusually smug smile, but I felt something was off about his words and decided to ask. Hey, I was wondering this before, but what's all this talk about transfer and going overseas? No, I told you, right? I'm going to be transferred overseas. Have you forgotten? His words made me tilt my head. It seemed Steve was misunderstanding something. Well, it's hard to say, but I'm the one going on the overseas assignment. What? When I revealed the truth, Steve was shocked and completely taken aback. You're going overseas. What's this about? I haven't heard anything about this. Well, I didn't tell you. Don't make up silly lies. You can't trick me. Steve seemed to believe my words were a lie, but honestly, I understood why he found it hard to believe. When I first heard the news, I couldn't believe it either. The overseas assignment news came about 4 months ago when my boss called me in. Apparently, my work performance had been highly evaluated, and they asked me to transfer to an overseas branch. By the way, my selection was partly due to my strong French skills, which I developed during my time studying abroad. I know you studied abroad, but 4 months ago, they told you that long ago. Steve looked confused as he processed what I said. He was still skeptical, eyeing me with doubt. Since we're married, I think they informed me early on. If I had declined, they would have had to look for someone else. Well, that makes sense, I guess. As I explained, Steve's confidence seemed to wane. My explanation had clearly been convincing enough. So when did you hear about your overseas assignment, Steve? Steve likely heard about his overseas transfer after mine had already been decided. It's not typical for both spouses to be assigned overseas. So I was genuinely curious how he found out about it. When I asked, Steve slowly opened his mouth. Well, I was asked by my boss last month if I'd be okay with moving overseas, and how good my French was. So I told him I could handle basic conversation. Then my boss nodded happily. So they didn't directly tell you that your overseas assignment had been confirmed, did they? When I asked, Steve started to panic. What do you mean by that? It's like you're saying I misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand anything. If my boss asked if I was interested in going overseas, anyone would think it's about a transfer. Steve had eagerly responded, I'm interested, when his boss asked about his interest in going abroad. So he apparently thought that the overseas assignment was already decided at that point. I couldn't even laugh at his optimism. It was beyond frustration. From that conversation, how could you think the overseas assignment was decided? Nothing has been decided yet. Did they tell you when you're going, or where you're going? That is. Steve hesitated and looked down, unsure of what to say. His reaction made it seem like he was starting to realize that he had misunderstood. Since I was reluctant about going alone, I think they were considering giving me a leave of absence to accompany you. Our company has a system where you can take a leave of absence if your spouse is assigned overseas. The overseas assignment is planned to last about 3 years. Living apart for that long would be difficult for both of us. So when I thought I'd be going abroad, I told my boss I'd like to use the leave system. The decision to transfer was made just as Steve's behavior was starting to change. I had been hesitant to tell him about the overseas assignment and was waiting for the right moment. In the meantime, I'm sure my boss in the sales department thought Steve had already heard about the assignment from me. and subtly checked how he felt about it. I should have told you about the overseas assignment earlier. I didn't think you would misunderstand like this. I apologized, acknowledging my part in the confusion, but Steve didn't seem to hear me. He wore a look of despair. No, I can't believe I was wrong. Now do you understand? The overseas assignment has been decided for me, not for you. So what's going to happen to me now? I bragged about the overseas assignment to Vanessa and my colleagues. Steve was panicking, visibly flustered, but I didn't know how to help him. Just admit that you misunderstood. Besides, you won't have to take a leave of absence, so it might actually be more convenient for you. Since I had already informed the company about the divorce, Steve could just continue working in Japan. I had already changed my last name and reported the divorce, especially because of the overseas transfer. When I told him this, Steve slumped down. Are you done now? Now that it was clear he had misunderstood. There was nothing else to discuss. I started to leave the meeting room, but instead of ignoring me, Steve ran past me and rushed out of the room. Hey, where are you going? I tried to stop him, but Steve just kept running away. Right now, Steve was in a desperate state, and I had no idea what he might do. With that anxiety in mind, I decided to follow him. Steve had returned to the sales department and was speaking to his boss. Boss, I'm going overseas for an assignment. Right. Even after hearing my explanation, Steve still couldn't accept the reality. He asked urgently, his face showing desperation, and the boss tilted his head in confusion. What on earth are you talking about? You asked me. You said, aren't you interested in moving abroad? Steve clung to the boss, his face pale. The boss sighed in response. I don't know what you're misunderstanding, but I never said anything about an overseas assignment. That's a lie, Steve muttered as he collapsed weakly to the floor. The employees in the sales department watched him, some casting cold glances, while others tried to suppress their laughter. Steve must have realized he was being laughed at. What the hell? Don't look at me. Suddenly, Steve jumped up and shouted, his face flushed with embarrassment. Vanessa was watching him with a look of disdain. What the? His overseas assignment was a misunderstanding. She muttered this in a voice loud enough for even me, standing outside the department, to hear. Steve, enraged by her words, stormed toward Vanessa at full speed. Hey Vanessa, what did you just say? Say it again. Oh my God, don't come near me. It was a misunderstanding, wasn't it? Shut up, you're mocking me too. It's because of you that I'm getting a divorce. That's my line. Because of you, I'm being asked to pay compensation for the divorce. Vanessa fiercely rejected Steve and hurled insults at him. Steve then pointed at me. The compensation is her fault, not mine. What, her? Vanessa turned to look in the direction Steve was pointing. In that moment, our eyes met. Vanessa charged toward me, her face contorted in a devilish expression. You? What do you mean, compensation? Why do I have to pay compensation to you? Vanessa was seething with anger, but I couldn't hide my shock at the fact that she brought up the topic here. You do realize we're still in office, right? How can you talk about compensation so loudly? When I said that, Vanessa's face stiffened. Both Steve and Vanessa seemed to lose themselves when their emotions got heated, but it was too late to backtrack now. Behind Vanessa stood the boss, his face twisted in an expression of anger. I had heard the rumors about you too, but I never thought they were true. Vanessa, did you have an affair with Steve, who's married? No. This is a misunderstanding. She immediately denied it, but no one would believe her. After all, she had just caused a scene in front of the employees. The staff around us seemed clearly cold-eyed, some of them even trying to suppress their laughter. Still, Vanessa adamantly denied that she was having an affair. However, her words were quickly overshadowed by Steve's retort. "What are you talking about? It's true. You said you wanted to marry me. Don't be ridiculous. I don't like you at all. And how could I marry such a foolish man who misunderstood about the overseas assignment? What? A nasty woman like you. I wouldn't marry you even if you begged me. Enough. This is a workplace. Take your lover's quarrel somewhere else." The boss's words instantly quieted both Steve and Vanessa. At this point, there was no more excuse for them. The boss would surely report this to the higher-ups. "Wait, Melissa. Please explain to the boss. Vanessa and I didn't do anything wrong." Steve hurriedly clung to me. Behind him, Vanessa was staring at me with a pale face. But there was nothing I could do. "Sorry, but this is your own doing. It has nothing to do with me. See you." I said that and returned to the planning department. Soon after, the incident spread throughout the company. As a result, they were both distanced from the rest of the staff. Vanessa couldn't handle the situation and reportedly resigned immediately. Of course, they broke up. Steve was transferred from the head office sales department to a local office run by a subsidiary. He could no longer hope for promotions, and his salary decreased. Both of them, living tough lives, are paying the divorce compensation from their meager incomes. At first, I tried to get the full amount paid up front, but Steve begged me, "Please, I don't have any savings. Please let me pay in installments." "Fine, but I'm going to tell Tanner and the others about this." "Okay." It would be problematic if the payments stopped halfway, so I decided to explain the compensation to my father-in-law, Tanner, properly. Steve was hesitant about my suggestion, but in the end, he reluctantly accepted. Naturally, after the affair was revealed, he was scolded severely by my in-laws. On top of that, he caused problems at work, so now, it seems, my in-laws won't even speak to him. Vanessa's parents, however, were firm and said, "We'll make sure she pays," so she accepted the installment plan. Her parents scolded her severely as well, so there was likely no problem with it. Steve is still working while being looked down on by his colleagues, but with the family finances being tight, I suppose resigning is not an option for him. Vanessa, unable to find a new job, reportedly had to take out a loan. She's now desperately searching for work to pay off her debt. After falling behind on rent, she moved into an old, dilapidated apartment. 3 months have passed since then, and I have finally moved overseas. I'm now working for a business company at my assigned overseas post. I've built a good relationship with the local employees, and work is generally going well. However, living in an unfamiliar place without friends or family, to be honest, it's been tough. Still, I'm managing because this is the work I always wanted to do. In 3 years, when I return to the head office, I hope to be able to contribute even more, and I want to continue growing in the meantime.
Your background may be humble, but I'll tolerate it. In return, after marriage, you'll need to quit your job and fully support Kevin in his political career. From a rural bakery to the wife of a politician, you've got quite the luck. Is being a politician such a prestigious job that you can look down on others? Absolutely. I mean, it's a politician we're talking about. Wait, what's the matter? Today was an important day, a family meeting. However, Nicholas and Rachel, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, believed that being a politician was the highest honor and openly looked down on us who ran a rural bakery. My mother, Stella, who was usually calm, had become enraged after our store and I were insulted. Hey! What do you think you're doing? My mother poured water over the business card Nicholas had given her and forcefully placed the glass back on the table. The photo of Nicholas on the business card was now wet. My mother glared at him. She was effectively saying that this was the same as throwing water in his face. I was shocked to see my usually gentle mother do something like this. However, she didn't seem to have lost her composure. In truth, I believe she wanted to splash them directly with the water. But doing so would have put her at risk of being charged with assault. That's why she targeted the business card instead. Even just tearing up a business card in front of someone is quite disrespectful. Splashing water on it was practically an invitation to a fight. Naturally, my in-laws were furious. However, my mother seemed equally enraged. Your bakery supplies products for local events, doesn't it? I'll have them all pulled. Watch your business crumble and regret it. Have you been a member of this town for generations? What is that? You don't seem to know my ancestors. What? Who cares about the ancestors of a little bakery? Unless it's a shop with over 100 years of history, a small, insignificant bakery has no right to boast. This is the first time I've been treated with such disrespect. I'll definitely destroy your store. Don't think you can do business around here anymore. Is that so? Well then, I'll make sure you lose your position as politicians. I don't think my mother's words are lies. I'm sure she really intends to take away the political position from my in-laws. I am Ashley. I'm 28 years old and helping with my family's bakery. Since our bakery is located in the countryside, people often think it must be a historic bakery. However, that's not the case, and our bakery isn't that old. Although it has a short history, it is quite famous as a local souvenir and popular at local events. Therefore, despite being a countryside bakery, we don't have much trouble running it. At 28, I find countryside life to be quite pleasant, like an old person, and I am satisfied with my life in this familiar land since childhood. The only complaint I had was the lack of encounters, but that has been resolved. Although we are not yet married, my boyfriend Kevin recently proposed to me. I plan to announce it after the family meeting is over, so I am holding back from blurting it out when talking to regular customers at the store. Kevin and I have known each other since kindergarten. Of course, at that time, we were not conscious of romance or marriage, and we didn't become particularly close afterward. We attended the same school until middle school, but then went to different high schools, and I heard through the grapevine that Kevin left the countryside to attend university. Since then, he had faded from my memory. However, about 2 years ago, we met again by chance. Hey, could you be Kevin? Huh? Don't you remember? We went to the same school from kindergarten to middle school. I'm Ashley. Oh, from the bakery. Kevin and I were not particularly close friends. However, having been together for such a long time from kindergarten to middle school, I strangely recognized him. We approached each other, searching for traces of our younger selves, and then caught up on each other's lives. Did you take over the bakery? I didn't, but my grandparents retired, so now my mom runs the shop and I help out. What about you, Kevin? After graduating from university, I worked in sales, but my dad told me to come back. Did something happen? Nothing in particular, but he wants me to become a politician, so he intends to make me study from now on. Isn't your dad a politician? Yes, my dad, my granddad, and his dad too. We are a family of politicians. That's amazing. So, you're going to become a politician soon too? I don't know if it'll be soon. For now, I'm planning to look for a sales job around here. You don't seem very keen on it. I'd rather not become one. Because I've seen a lot of my parents' stuff. I want to work and live freely. Why don't you tell him that? It's impossible to go against my dad. Politics is such a closed world, you know? So even now, there's this belief in my house that my father's word is law. In the countryside, those values are still deeply rooted. We were so happy to see each other after such a long time that we ended up talking for a long time. Since this is the countryside, all other acquaintances had left. So, I felt delighted to see an old friend after such a long time. Kevin probably felt reassured to meet a familiar face right after returning home. A reunion with a childhood friend in our hometown. Both of us 26 years old and at the right age. Neither of us had a significant other. With all these conditions met, it would be hard not to follow this path. We started keeping in touch, gradually growing closer as friends for about a year, and then started dating. About a year after dating, he proposed to me, which was just the other day. And today, Kevin is coming to my house for a family meeting. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. You went to middle school with Ashley, right? Think of me as a friend's mom and feel free to relax. Since I was meeting her as part of a family meeting, that seemed difficult. My mom said this with a smile at the door, but Kevin's face was tense. However, my mom, who runs a shop, has great communication skills. She's also gentle and approachable. Once we were guided to the living room and started talking, Kevin relaxed in about 10 minutes. You run a shop, that's impressive. It's not just my effort. I get help from Ashley, the staff, and many others. No, the shop runs because of your energy, right? You're always working hard and running around everywhere. Since we don't have a father, I have to work hard. But you always say you enjoy your work. The greeting to my mom went smoothly. Kevin didn't seem to mind that I didn't have a father, as my parents had divorced when I was young. I planned to have him meet my grandparents eventually, but I wasn't worried about that either. My grandparents have lived in the countryside but are not narrow-minded. In fact, they are quite flexible, advising against calling customers Miss or Mr. due to gender concerns, and suggesting we create low-calorie or fiber-rich products for health. Therefore, unless I bring someone very strange, they would likely say that marriage is up to the individuals involved. Having finished greeting my mom, the next step was to greet Kevin's parents. Kevin did a good job greeting my mom, so I had to follow his example. About greeting my parents, just let everything they say go in one ear and out the other. Huh? What do you mean? As I was driving Kevin home after greeting my mom, he said something that I didn't quite understand. When I looked at him, he seemed to have a gloomy expression. I would understand the meaning of this expression a bit later. The next day, I had some errands to run and went to the city office with my mom. While talking to the female clerk at the counter, a man in his 60s suddenly interrupted us. Miss, get me that document. We will assist you in turn, so please wait a moment. Huh, are you putting me on hold? The man leaned on the counter with one elbow, glaring at the female clerk. Judging by his clothes, they seemed expensive. Looking at his attitude and attire, I couldn't help but think, is he some kind of gang member? The man's impact was that strong. We can wait. We're not in a hurry. Thank you. I'm sorry about this. My mom smiled and gave up our turn to the man. The clerk probably had to serve us first due to protocol. However, that might have caused trouble with the man. Therefore, my mom, who dislikes conflict, chose to give up our turn. If my mom gave up our turn, the clerk could change the order. The female clerk conveyed her gratitude to my mom with her expression. So, do you have the application form? I don't have such a thing. Just get it done. That would be difficult. It's a fixed procedure. Do you know who I am? I'll get you fired. I wanted to retort, "Who are you?" But if I did, my mom's effort to keep the peace would be wasted, so I held back. Even without my saying anything, the man was being selfish, and my mom's effort was becoming futile. As I realized our procedure might take a while, the female clerk's supervisor appeared. Hello. Is there something I can help you with? This person never hands in the usual documents on time. She is useless. Fire her. She's still young, please forgive her. I'll get it ready right away. The female clerk's supervisor retreated with a light smile. It seems the supervisor is used to dealing with this man. I thought this would stop the man's outburst, but it didn't. Miss, can you at least bring me some water? I'm thirsty. The female clerk looked clearly troubled. My mother and I exchanged looks, signaling her to go ahead, and the female clerk reluctantly left her seat. This is my first time seeing a real gangster. Even without any proof, in my mind, this man had become a complete gangster. New experiences always spark curiosity. I found myself glancing at the man several times. Is there something on my face? No, I was just looking at the poster on the wall. The local festival poster? It's full of typical stalls and local food, nothing but rustic stuff. Yes, that's right. That festival is something the locals look forward to every year, and my shop is planning to set up a booth with cookies. I felt a bit irritated, as if he had insulted my hometown. Just then, the female clerk returned with the water. As she handed it over, the man leaned arrogantly on the counter, watching the interaction between the clerk and us. It didn't feel good at all. Sensing that I wanted to leave quickly, the female clerk hurried with the paperwork. Once the procedure was done, my mother and I quickly walked away from the scene. See you around. I hoped I would never see him again. I turned back to give a brief nod as we headed for the exit. From behind, we could hear the man's voice again. He seemed to be bothering the female clerk once more. I felt sorry for her, but there was nothing we could do except wait for her supervisor to return. He was quite something, wasn't he? We should avoid getting involved in unnecessary matters. But I feel like I've seen his face somewhere before. Do you know him? Not at all. As we left the office, my mother and I talked about the man, feeling the tension ease. It's rude to judge someone without knowing them well. However, if even my usually gentle mother had such a strong reaction, it's no wonder I felt the same. When someone leaves such a strong impression, you can't help but become curious about who they are and what they do. My curiosity was unexpectedly soon satisfied. Thank you very much. That last customer had a lot to say about how people with kids struggle to work in this town. Before that, they mentioned how young people in general find it hard to work here. She seems so dependable, even though she looks only a bit older than me. You should learn from her. Speaking of work and parenting, that man we saw the other day was something else. Changing the subject, huh? I remember who he is now. Really? Who is he? He's a town council member. Really? That man? His family has been in politics for generations in this town. Is it okay for someone with that attitude to be a council member? In small town councils, there's a serious lack of people. It's not unusual to have people like him. Since there's a shortage of candidates, most members are in their 60s and are mostly men. In this town, the average age is over 60, and 90% are men. Oh. That's why politics tends to be such a closed-off, old-fashioned industry. When new perspectives don't come in, you get that "I'm the best congressman" kind of attitude? You seem to know a lot about this. I heard it from Kevin. Wait, a political family? No way. When I heard the same words, political family, from both Kevin and my mother, I had a bad feeling. People say the world is small, but in reality, it's vast. I quickly dismissed the unpleasant thought, thinking such a coincidence couldn't possibly happen. However, while the world may be vast, small towns make coincidences more likely. So, you're Kevin's fiancé. You're beautiful. I'd marry you myself if I could. When I went to the family meeting at my in-laws' house, the man I hoped to never see again was sitting on the living room sofa. The man who had been so demanding at the town hall was Kevin's father, Nicholas. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, he didn't remember meeting me at the town hall. The moment I saw his face, I felt like collapsing to my knees inside. However, it's often said that first impressions can be deceiving and people can turn out to be good upon getting to know them. Therefore, I needed to learn more about Nicholas. So, your family runs a bakery? Must be tough making ends meet in a small town. If you ever need money, you can always be my mistress. I've got plenty. Nicholas spent at least 8 out of 10 minutes making crude remarks. Most of his crude comments revolved around money and sexual topics. It was especially infuriating when he mocked our bakery. With a forced smile, I nodded along to Nicholas's stories, understanding what Kevin meant by telling me to just let his words pass. I consider myself good at finding people's positive traits. But no matter how much I talked with him, I couldn't find any redeeming qualities. Finding something good about Nicholas seemed incredibly challenging. However, there isn't only one way to solve a problem. If Nicholas was difficult, I could focus on building a better relationship with my mother-in-law, Rachel, and have her address Nicholas's crude behavior. I decided to give up on understanding Nicholas and turn to talk to Rachel instead. You're marrying Kevin? Kevin's going to be a politician. And you're from a small-town bakery? Our family is full of politicians, and you bring in your dirty, poor commoner blood? Once you get married, you must quit your job and support Kevin. Understand? Oh, this is bad. Both in-laws were incredibly difficult. I looked to Kevin for help. But he seemed just as stunned by their words, his face blank and unresponsive. He was likely so embarrassed that he mentally escaped to another dimension. That's my fiancé. He had properly taught me how to deal with his parents. I'll try escaping to another dimension too. Barely, but we managed to finish greeting his parents. When Kevin was taking me home, he apologized sheepishly. Sorry. You were surprised, right? They think this town is their kingdom. Once we're married, I'll try to limit our contact with them as much as possible. Just endure the meetings and wedding for now, even if they say something. It just shows how proud they are of their work and roles, right? That's a good thing. Some of their words were a bit troublesome, but don't worry about it. Kevin seemed relieved and, for the first time today, showed a genuine smile instead of a forced one. When I got home, I immediately reported about Nicholas to my mother. Small towns are really tight-knit, aren't they? I thought so too. Kevin said that once he gets married, he'll try to minimize our interactions with Nicholas and his family. Even his own child is fed up with him. But since he raised Kevin, whom we respect, he must have some qualities we can't see. If we talk to him properly, we might be able to see that side of him. Well, I'm not sure about that. At first, I tried to find the good points of my future in-laws, but I couldn't find anything. However, my mother might be able to find something that I couldn't. If she could, it might help me improve my relationship with my in-laws. I feel bad relying on her, but I decided to place my hopes on my mother. After that, while preparing for the wedding, we also prepared for the meeting between our parents. As the day of the meeting approached, the thought of meeting my future in-laws again made me increasingly nervous. As for my mother, she seemed unfazed, humming while cleaning the showcase as usual. I felt she was a bit too relaxed, but my mother is a calm person, so even if my in-laws said something rude, she wouldn't get upset or disappointed like I would. I decided to stop worrying about others and focus on my own concerns. On the day of the meeting between our parents, my mother and I headed to the upscale restaurant Kevin had reserved. We were escorted by the staff to a room where Kevin and his parents were already seated. When they saw us enter, Nicholas stood up and walked towards us.
Nice to meet you. You're Ashley's mother, right? I'm Nicholas.
Yes. Hey, you. Remember, she runs a bakery, not a politician. Oh, right. Sorry, it's just a habit. Please, have a seat. Thank you. I thought Nicholas would greet my mother politely, but he handed her his business card instead. It seemed he wanted to make sure she knew he was a politician. Rachel, on the other hand, seemed to look down on us for running a bakery, but since we hadn't even sat down yet, I decided to ignore it. After sitting down, my mother placed the business card he had given her on the table. Even in such situations, my mother follows proper etiquette by not putting away the card immediately. The card featured a cheerful photo of Nicholas. It looked like a miracle shot, almost like a different person from the him in front of us.
Oh, I brought some pound cake from our store. Please enjoy it.
My mother offered the pound cake with a smile. Despite my in-laws' apparent disdain for our bakery, I hoped that tasting the cake would change their minds. But my in-laws were a step or two ahead of my expectations. Nicholas took the box of pound cake and handed it to Rachel without a word. Rachel then began unwrapping it under the table to check the contents. After inspecting it, she whispered something to Nicholas. Thank you for the thoughtful gift. We often forget what common folks eat, so this is helpful. It's important for us as politicians to know what you usually have. But next time, a bit more consideration would be appreciated. Nicholas, you shouldn't talk like that to common folks. Really? But they need to understand proper manners. Well, I see. My mother seems unusually irritated by the unpleasant money-related conversation. Sitting next to me, my mother is restlessly clenching and unclenching her hands under the table. I've never seen her like this. It's common for usually mild-mannered people to be unstoppable when they finally explode. Could my mother be that type? The in-laws, oblivious to my growing anxiety, continue their tirade. How much do you sell this pound cake for? $13 for 6. It used to be more affordable, but with the recent rise in costs, I've had to increase the price. Did you hear that? Ordinary people think $13 is too much. Hey, that's rude. Stella makes a living with just a small profit from each pound cake she sells. Is that what a bakery business is like? How do you manage? Everyone says they enjoy it and buys it, so we manage to get by. Isn't that just a polite lie? Pretending to like it out of courtesy? That's what I would do if I received this. My mother starts stretching her fingers under the table, pulling and bending them. Being mocked for her beloved pound cake has increased her anger. I signal Kevin with my eyes to stop his parents, but since he's sitting across from me, he can't see my mother's hands. Kevin, unaware of the situation, doesn't catch my signal. I realized I'd have to intervene, but it seems I was too late. We'll tolerate your lowly bloodline, but in return, Ashley will quit her job after marriage and fully support Kevin in his political career. From a small-town bakery to a politician's wife. Lucky you. Is being a politician such an esteemed position that you can look down on others? Of course. Politicians are highly respected. What's the matter? As they mocked me, my mother's restless hands suddenly stopped. She moved Nicholas's business card from the edge to the center of the table. Everyone's eyes focused on the card, wondering what was happening. My mother then grabbed a glass of water. I thought she was going to drink it before speaking, but she poured it over the card instead.
What are you doing?
She slammed the glass back on the table. Nicholas's face on the card was drenched. My mother glared at Nicholas, clearly indicating that this was the equivalent of throwing water in his face. I'm shocked to see my usually gentle mother do something like this. However, she didn't seem to have lost her composure entirely. She probably wanted to splash Nicholas and Rachel directly. But that would have been assault. So, she poured water on the card instead. Even just folding the card would be quite disrespectful. But pouring water on it was practically inviting a fight. Naturally, the in-laws were furious.
Do you realize we've been politicians here for generations? Your shop provides goods for events, right? I'll make sure everything is pulled from the registry. Go out of business and regret it.
Generations of politicians? So what? You don't seem to know anything about our ancestors? My mother remained calm but was clearly very angry. The fact that she brought up our ancestors, something she rarely talked about, was proof of that.
What? Why would I know about the ancestors of a small bakery? Unless it's over 100 years old, a small shop shouldn't be so arrogant. I've never been treated this rudely before. I swear I'll shut your shop down. Don't think you can do business around here anymore.
Is that so? Then I'll make sure you and your associates are removed from office. You intend to run for office? That's futile. Don't bother. Elections cost money. Besides, how do you plan to take votes from someone who's been a politician for years? Ashley, we're leaving. My mother walked out of the room, and I followed her. As I left the room, the staff brought in lavish dishes, almost as if to replace us. It felt a bit wasteful, but it couldn't be helped. As we exited the restaurant, Kevin ran after us. I'm really sorry for today. I'll cut ties with my parents, so could you please allow me to marry Ashley? Kevin apologized to my mother and expressed his desire to marry me, pleading earnestly. How could such a decent child come from those two? Is it the opposite role model effect? Honestly, I think that's part of it. I've seen so much of what I don't want to be in my parents. With my mother's approval of our marriage, the tense atmosphere eased a bit.
Do you mind if I give your parents a little lesson?
I've been curious about that. If you can really unseat my father, I'd ask you to do it. He gave his blessing for us to take action against his parents. This would mark the end of his parents' future. About 6 months had passed since the confrontation between our parents. The wedding was approaching, but before that, it was time for the city council elections. Usually, familiar faces would fill the seats unopposed. However, this time, there seemed to be a bit more commotion than usual. Still, elections happen everywhere and end before you realize it. My mother and I were at our shop as usual when Nicholas and Rachel stormed in, yelling.
What did you do?
Please don't raise your voice in the shop.
It's fine since there are no customers now.
That's not the point. What happened?
Why did I have to lose? And I was the only one who lost. That's ridiculous. And to lose to that young woman is unacceptable.
My mother and I exchanged glances and couldn't help but laugh. It seemed Nicholas and Rachel genuinely didn't understand why Nicholas lost. We'd need to explain it step by step.
The young woman you're talking about? She ran for the first time at 36. My mother supported her. She's a regular at our shop and always believed this town could be better. She was interested in politics but didn't know how to get involved, so she turned to my mother for help.
What?
Just because a bakery supported her, she won the election? What dirty tricks did you use? Please don't be rude. I volunteered to help. I didn't get paid, and we didn't break any election laws.
Before election laws, it didn't even look like she was campaigning. Where did she get her votes from? And the money? Campaigning costs a fortune. If you fronted it, that's a problem.
I told you, we didn't break any laws. It looked like she wasn't campaigning because she was using social media to share her policies. She used direct messages, videos, a website, and other internet-based methods, with no street speeches. The total spent was under $2,000.
Campaigning online? It should cost tens of thousands, and she spent $2,000? I lost to that method. Nicholas and Rachel were quite shocked, unable to adapt to new perspectives and clinging to old beliefs. However, there are instances where younger generations in their 30s have won elections by effectively using social media. My grandparents, who are 80 years old, are very flexible and embrace new values to the point of being mindful of gender issues and the language they use when interacting with others. My mother, who is still young at 54, has inherited this adaptability and is even more flexible. She advised that this method would be suitable for electing young people.
No way, there are other candidates too. How can they just snatch my votes like that? It doesn't make any sense. It seems you forget, but we've seen you acting arrogantly at the city office. And outside, you were doing whatever you pleased, leaving a terrible impression on the townspeople. So, that person posted on social media about reforming the old ways of the council. While it wasn't said directly, anyone could see it meant stopping council members from being overbearing. That created an atmosphere where people wanted you out. And if a young woman is doing it, it makes people want to support her even more, right? The internet can be scary like that. My mother was explaining this to my in-laws with a pleased and satisfied expression, happy with the outcome she had aimed for. However, the most important point hadn't been mentioned yet. It wasn't just the power of social media that led to this result. I believe my mother's presence was a significant factor. Since my mother doesn't like to talk about this, I decided to explain it for her. My mother's knowledge about elections and her ability to gather votes have another important reason. You don't have to say that. No, it's important to explain. Our ancestors were landlords in this area. During land reforms, we had to give up most of our land. This bakery was built around that time. So, it doesn't have a long history. It doesn't have a long history. But being former landlords, we have valuable historical documents about this area. We've lent these documents to the city office, which is a gesture of goodwill from my mother. The remaining land we have is now lent for free as parkland for local children. This, too, is thanks to my mother's generosity.
So, you're saying you're connected with the city office?
Exactly. You were just arrogantly flaunting your power without achieving much, so you didn't get this kind of information. Unlike you, my mother has built trustful relationships instead of just commanding people. So, it was easy to gather information about your bad reputation and take countermeasures. And when someone supported by my mother comes forward as a candidate, it's easier for them to gain trust.
Our regular customers from the bakery also supported her a lot. It created an atmosphere where people naturally wanted to oust you, so eventually, we didn't have to do much.
While I was talking, my mother looked a bit embarrassed. Nicholas loves to flaunt his power as a politician, but my mother is not like that. She doesn't like to talk about being former landlords or lending documents and land. It's this modesty that has earned her the trust of those around her. This trust from the townspeople leads to many requests for help. Among these were election-related tasks, leveraging her local knowledge and advertising strategies honed at the bakery, which proved useful this time. Too bad.
Better luck next time. I'm not really sure, but isn't the next election in 4 years?
Fight young with young. Next, we'll put Kevin up. Your marriage is off.
Why does you get to decide both my political career and my marriage, Dad? Kevin, you're here?
Kevin emerged from the back of the shop, surprising his parents. We were about to become a married couple, so it shouldn't be so shocking for him to be around his in-laws-to-be. It was the weekend, and he had the day off, so he was at the shop. Earlier, he had been observing the craftsmen making sweets in the back, not hiding.
I said I was cutting ties after our parents met. Since I did, stop trying to force me into politics. And you have no right to cancel our marriage.
You can't be serious about cutting ties. You just said that in the heat of the moment, didn't you? Don't marry that guy. We are a family of politicians. So you must become a politician too.
I believe being a politician is a respectable job. But it's not just being a politician that makes someone admirable, right? It's being a politician who actually does good work that people respect. I don't think you're admirable at all, just throwing your weight around and lording your power over others.
Do whatever you want. I'll definitely ruin this shop. His parents stormed out, shouting. They still seemed to believe this town was their personal kingdom or something. Having already talked to the town hall, I had an idea of what would happen next. Even without doing anything, they would soon realize their mistake. Nicholas was dragged from his seat as a councilman, and complaints of harassment and misconduct poured in from all sides. There was even information from another council member about embezzlement. It seemed some council members were troubled by his tyranny. But with his family's long history in politics, he wielded undue power, making it difficult for anyone to fight back. Now, seeing a chance, some with a sense of justice took action, while others, still stuck in old ways, worried me that they might defend him. However, they too had engaged in harassment, so they stayed silent to avoid getting involved. Nicholas, abandoned and without support, could not return to his position. He was left alone, abandoned by everyone. In this situation, he could never return to being a senator. However, Nicholas had been a politician for many years, so he must have accumulated a significant amount of money. Yet, it won't be possible for him to live comfortably off that money from now on. With the continuous stream of accusations, the amount of compensation he might have to pay is staggering. How much money will he be left with in the end? Additionally, he could face criminal charges. If that happens, finding another job would be very difficult. Most importantly, his in-laws, who had once thought of him as the most powerful politician, lost that prestigious title. This was the biggest shock to them. Kevin has also made it clear that he does not want to become a politician, so the legacy of the political family ends with him. In this situation, his in-laws have lost all motivation, and they stay indoors as they are looked at with cold eyes when they go out. Amidst all this, Kevin and I had our wedding. Of course, his in-laws were not present. After the wedding, we headed to the county office. The clerk greeted us with a warm smile.
This alone showed how much easier it has become to work. With Nicholas gone, the woman my mother supported is thriving. Kevin and I got our marriage certificate issued. We are now officially married. Thank you for everything until now. From here on, you can handle things on your own.
What?
I thought he was expressing gratitude, but it was a shocking statement.
I've supported you all this time. Now I deserve to be free, right? What are you talking about?
It made no sense. He claimed to have supported us, but I worked too, earning more than him. I'm tired of you, Mary.
You used to be young and beautiful, but now you're useless. How can you say such things?
And those kids, they're creepy.
I can't understand what they're thinking. Don't talk about them like that. Are you sure they're even my kids?
Tell me the truth. I wanted to punch him but stopped myself. A man like him wasn't worth it.
So, you just want to leave, right?
I'm glad you understand quickly. He laughed loudly and left the house. A few days after he left, divorce papers arrived.
Did you get the divorce papers? Yes, just now.
Good. Make sure you file them today.
I'm getting remarried. She's 17 years younger than you and a real catch. Good for you.
Aren't you surprised?
After what you said and did, nothing surprises me anymore.
Fine then.
Goodbye.
He hung up. He didn't mention about the children at all. That angered me more than anything else. But his outrageous behavior didn't stop there. A week later, I received a wedding announcement and invitation. He was truly a horrible man. Seeing this, the kids made a suggestion.
Wow, he has some nerve. Mom, are you going? Why would I go to his wedding?
Exactly. We'll go instead.
What?
Don't worry, Mom. We'll cause a scene and get revenge.
But if you do that, you'll get into trouble.
We'll be fine. We have a plan. Seeing them smile excitedly scared me. They are twins with IQs of 140. Maybe their father feared them for this reason. I made up my mind.
I trust you too. Just make sure it's so thorough that he can't recover from it.
Yes.
Yes.
They were perfectly in sync. On the wedding day, they exceeded my expectations. My name is Mary, and I'm 47 years old. I work as a manager at a small local company. I have twins, Henry and Rala, with my ex-husband, Lien. Lien and I were high school classmates and reconnected when we were 25. He hadn't changed much, but one night out, I was drawn to his bright and genuine personality.
Really? You liked me back then?
Yes. But there were always people around you, so I couldn't talk to you. I didn't know that. It seemed he had admired me since high school. I never thought of myself as popular back then. I never thought I'd see you again.
Where have you been all this time?
I was in Boston, but this place feels more like home.
Yeah, I stayed here and got a job right after graduation.
This reunion led us to go out for drinks often. It was inevitable that we started dating. I felt delighted by Lien's intense pursuit, and I began to think that I wanted to be with him forever.
Will you marry me?
Of course. I'll make you happy. He proposed a year after we started dating. We got married and lived happily without any problems. Then, when I was 29, something life-changing happened. The twins were born. A boy and a girl. We named them Henry and Rala and adored them. Since I worked, my parents often took care of them. When they started kindergarten, I noticed something extraordinary. Thank you for always taking care of them.
Mary, come here for a moment.
Mom seemed very excited. She was writing something in a notebook. Peeking in, I saw beautiful letters and numbers written neatly.
What's this?
I tried having them write, and they picked it up immediately. Both of them. Maybe it's because they're twins. I felt a flutter in my heart. I spoke gently to them.
You two are amazing.
Grandma taught us.
It was fun.
That's wonderful. You're both so talented. I hugged them. What's wrong?
You're squeezing too tight, Mom.
Sorry, I got so happy. Let's go home. I wanted to tell Lien right away.
I'm home.
Welcome back. Why are you so happy?
These two might be gifted.
What do you mean? I explained what happened at my parents' house, showing him the notebook.
Really?
And they only needed to be taught once.
Maybe you're right, Mary.
Absolutely. We taught them many things at home after that. Before starting elementary school, they already had a vast vocabulary and could count over 100. Just before they graduated from elementary school, their teacher made a suggestion.
You might want to have them tested.
I see.
There are free online tests you can try.
Thank you. I'll do that. I immediately wanted to have them take the test. However, Lien didn't look happy about it. He used to proudly talk about the kids. Why would you make them do that?
Don't you want to know, Lien?
What's the point of knowing that? From this point on, a rift began to form between him and me regarding the kids. I went ahead and had them take the test. The results were astonishing. Both had IQs over 140.
We're really smart.
Isn't this normal?
What are you talking about? This is amazing. Mom, calm down.
Being scolded by elementary school kids was unexpected. Just then, Lien came home.
Let's show Dad about it.
Yeah. They ran to Lien.
Look at this.
Henry showed him the printed results.
IQ 140?
Lien praised them. But he said nothing. Lien?
Sorry, I need a shower.
From then on, he started avoiding the kids intentionally. As they grew, this became more apparent. The major conflict happened when they were about to take high school entrance exams.
Isn't a local school good enough? These kids have incredible potential. They should go where they can fully develop it.
Let's be honest. They're too smart and unlovable. I don't like them.
What?
I couldn't tolerate this statement.
Is that how you see them?
Mary, you're being unreasonable.
Unreasonable?
I don't understand what you're trying to do. That was exactly how I felt.
Lien, it's fine. We don't care where we go to high school.
Henry's right. We're not concerned. That's not the point. Your dad is neglecting you too. It's natural to be angry if they're called unlovable. Then you handle it, Mary. Do what you want.
Wait, we're not done talking.
Lien ignored me and left the house. Our family started to fall apart. Ultimately, the twins went to a nearby high school of their choice. They probably chose it to avoid causing more trouble. My only role was to support them. After they started high school, Lien hardly spoke to them. You're not talking to them much lately, are you? I talk to them when necessary. Even so.
Besides, lately, they've been looking down on me. That's not true. They think I'm an idiot.
I tried repeatedly to get Lien to communicate more with them, but it was futile. Mom, are you okay?
Yes.
You don't look okay.
I wonder why it turned out this way.
About Dad?
Yes.
But.
What?
Never mind. Do you still love Dad?
That's a sudden question.
I was just curious. I don't fully understand what my children think. But I still love them. He was just running away. I wanted to fix it somehow. When they reached 10th grade, Lien's behavior worsened. He not only stopped talking but also stopped coming home. He returned late on weekdays and left early on weekends.
Lien, what have you been doing lately? What do you mean?
You're coming home late and weren't around last weekend.
I can do what I want. Who do you think is earning for this family? This isn't about that. I'm supporting this family. What are you trying to say? Don't you get it? Is this the woman I admired in high school?
I usually don't get angry easily, but this annoyed me.
Let me tell you, I never thought you'd turn out like this either, Lien. Say that again. I'll say it as many times as needed. You were much better when we met.
Lien, who had been sitting on the couch, stood up and walked over to where I was in the kitchen.
What?
Then, without warning, he slapped me across the face. I staggered from the shock and hit my head on the corner of the refrigerator. My vision blurred. The last thing I saw before losing consciousness was Lien looking down at me with contempt.
This is your fault, Mary. You brought this on yourself. Stay there and think about it.
I regained consciousness to the sound of someone calling my name.
Mom, are you okay?
Henry helped me to the sofa.
What happened?
I just tripped.
That's not true.
I instinctively lied. Some part of me still hoped that the kind Lien would return. No matter what he said or did, I clung to that tiny shred of hope. I believed that we could be a happy family again someday.
Henry, what are you doing?
Rolla, who had just returned, confronted Henry. Calm down. I didn't do anything. Henry explained the situation to Rolla.
Does that mean?
Henry put his hand over Rolla's mouth to stop her from speaking.
You're choking me.
Henry shook his head. Rolla seemed to understand and became quiet. Mom, you should rest for now.
Yes, you should rest. We don't know what could happen next.
But I still have things to do. I tried to stand, but my legs were unsteady. Leave it to us.
All right, I'll rest first then.
Lien wasn't in the bedroom. It seemed he had gone somewhere again. I lay down and closed my eyes, hearing the kids talking outside the door. I couldn't make out the details. I fell asleep. The next morning, Lien's loud voice woke me. My head still hurt a bit, but the mirror showed no serious injury. I followed the sound to the living room. Lien was yelling about his missing smartphone.
You're finally up. Where's the smartphone that was here? How should I know? Then help me find it.
The kids came out, rubbing their eyes.
What's going on so early? The shouting woke us up.
His smartphone is missing.
Smartphone?
Rolla, do you know anything?
I don't. I didn't even know when he came back.
Right.
Just help me find it.
I understood his anxiety about the missing phone, but he seemed excessively agitated. Despite searching everywhere, we couldn't find it. Then Henry shouted.
It was under the couch.
We moved the couch and found the smartphone there.
It's so late. I'm leaving now.
Take care. After confirming Lien had left, Henry and Rolla started laughing.
What's so funny? Nothing.
It's nothing. He was just really panicked. I had no idea that this ordinary event would lead to something so significant. Come on, you two, hurry up or you'll be late. Eat your breakfast.
Yes. Yes.
Lien still showed no interest in the kids. Out of concern for me, they never brought him up. Life continued this way as they entered the 11th grade, with exams approaching. Today is the day you get your test results, right? Yeah. Want to see? Henry showed me his results, all with high scored.
As expected.
These are no problem. I don't know about Rala, though.
You can't ignore that. You're back?
Just then, Rala walked into the living room.
Just so you know, I also got high scores.
They were truly remarkable children. But don't push yourselves too hard.
We're fine.
Yeah, we'll study hard for you, Mom. I had been secretly saving money for their education. Honestly, I couldn't rely on Lien. I regularly deposited part of my salary into a special account, but I noticed something disturbing. Several $1,000s had been withdrawn.
What?
The withdrawal date was a week ago. That was the day Lien said he was visiting his parents. I immediately called my mother-in-law, Jane.
Hello, Jane.
Mary? What's wrong?
It's about a week ago.
I was glad I called. Lien hadn't visited his parents. Sorry for the sudden call. It's fine. Come visit us again soon. I will. Thanks. I waited for Lien to come home.
I've been waiting for you. What? A week ago, where were you? That day, I was at my parents'. That's a lie.
I confronted him directly.
I called you Mother. She said you didn't visit. Well, is your mom lying? No. Then what? I was with a friend.
I didn't care about his excuse anymore. There was something more important.
There's something else I want to know. What? You withdrew money from my account, didn't you? Why would I do that? Really? It was withdrawn using this card.
I showed him the card. He immediately averted his eyes.
You looked away. Do you have any idea? Of course not. I've never seen that black card.
He fell into my trap.
Black? This isn't black.
What I had shown him was just a loyalty card. Moreover, it wasn't black but white.
If you don't admit it, I'll go to the police.
Lien began to confess. He hadn't used all the money, but had spent around $10,000. However, he couldn't have withdrawn it without knowing the password.
How did you get the password? I saw you checking the account on your smartphone.
So you saw it then? He nodded deeply.
Return all the money, and I won't go to the police. All right. I'll return it. By when? By next month. If you break your promise, you know what will happen?
Lien became compliant. On the promised day, he returned the full amount. Wait. Where did he get that money? Mom. Oh, am I interrupting?
No, it's fine. What is it? Take a look at this.
Henry showed me his computer screen. It displayed the rankings of various apps. And?
See the app ranked number 1? I made that. It's a study management app. When did you have time to make this? Between studying sessions. A friend told me about it, and I started working on it. It turned out to be really fun. And here we are.
I'm constantly amazed by my children. To achieve this in their spare time is incredible.
It's kind of a side project. A side project?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right.
With less than a month until the exams. Finally, Lien did something that overshadowed everything he had done before.
Hey, what's Dad been doing? I haven't seen him around lately. Hey! Oh!
We were having dinner. Don't worry about it. Mom, I can't let you two suffer because of this.
What do you mean?
It's time for me to make a decision. Henry and Rala exchanged glances.
If there's anything we can do, just tell us.
Yeah, we'll do anything. Thank you. I'll rely on you both. Just then, Lien appeared. Dinner time, huh? Is there some for me? The kids' expressions changed to one of tension. They were clearly wary of him. There's some, but... Then get it ready for me. I prepared his meal. How's school lately? Huh? Just normal, I guess. What about you, Rolla? I'm normal too. It seemed like a regular family conversation, but it had been a long time since I'd seen this. Lien was smiling and talking to the kids, but they responded reluctantly. Here! I interrupted the conversation by serving dinner. Since the kids had already finished eating, I encouraged them to go to their rooms. Hey, we were still talking. What are you trying to do? I just wanted to talk to the kids. That can't be all. It really is. After that, he ate silently and went to bed. From then on, he started coming home early. I couldn't shake my distrust of him. 2 days later, on my birthday, he did something unexpected. Happy birthday. He handed me a bouquet of flowers as he said that. It was a bouquet of yellow roses. Thank you. I also bought a cake. While he was saying this, the kids came home. Mom, happy birthday! This is our gift to you. I ended up enjoying the day more than I expected. But when I woke up the next morning, he was gone. He had been sleeping beside me the night before. I got up and searched the house, but he was nowhere to be found. I realized I had been played. Then Rolla burst into the room. Rolla? I've been thinking, and I remembered something. Those yellow roses from yesterday are terrible. Terrible? They symbolize jealousy or wavering love. Really? But why would he be jealous of me? And where's Dad? He's gone. We've been tricked. At that moment, I understood I had been abandoned. Last night was his final meal with us. Maybe he waited until my birthday to leave. Lien had apparently been setting things up in advance because I was later called into work. I was accused of having an affair. I managed to clear up the misunderstanding with a thorough explanation. When I got home, Jane called. Mary, how could you do such a thing? What? Lien said you were having an affair. I would never do that. Enough. Don't contact us anymore. Jane hung up abruptly. Lien called 2 weeks later. I was in the midst of contemplating the divorce. Thanks for everything up to now. You're on your own from here. What? Just when I thought he called, he said something outrageous. I've supported you all this time. I deserve my freedom now. What are you talking about? It made no sense. He claimed to have supported us, but I also worked, earning more than Lien. I'm tired of you, Mary. You were young and beautiful, but now you're useless. How can you say that? And those kids are creepy. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't like them. Don't talk about the kids like that. Are they even mine? Tell me the truth. I clenched my fists. So you just want to leave? I'm glad you understand. He laughed loudly and hung up. A few days after Lien's call, I received the divorce papers. Did you get the divorce papers? Yes, just now. Good. Make sure you submit them today. I'm getting remarried to a woman 17 years younger than you. Good for you. You're not surprised? After everything you've said, it's not surprising. All right then. Goodbye. He hung up the phone. He didn't mention the kids at all. That made me even angrier than his selfishness. But Lien's outrageous behavior didn't stop there. The kids, who had been silently listening, finally spoke up. What did you say? He said he's divorcing me to marry a younger woman.
We should have left that jerk long ago. We can't just let this slide. But you both have exams coming up. This is more important. Yeah, it is. I was about to submit the divorce papers, but the kids stopped me. They said it wasn't the right time yet. Let us handle this for now. We promise you won't regret it. I was hesitant, but their serious eyes convinced me. A week later, we received a wedding announcement and an invitation to Lien's wedding. What a despicable man. The kids saw it and came up with a plan. Wow, he has some nerve. Mom, are you going? He should have sent this all at once. Guess he's as dumb as we thought. There's no way I'm going. I don't want to see his face. Yeah, we'll go instead. What? Don't worry, Mom. We'll make a scene and get revenge. But you'll get in trouble. We'll be fine. We have a plan. Seeing them smile made me a little scared. They were twins with an IQ of 140. Maybe that's what Lien was afraid of. I made up my mind. I trust you. Just make sure it's thorough. Yes. Yes. They were perfectly in sync. On the wedding day, they were full of energy. Rala, are you ready? Of course. You've got it, right? Yep, it's right here. Rala was holding an envelope. It's just a little surprise. All right, go ahead. I hesitated on what to say. Enjoy yourselves. They left with smiles. Even though I said they could do as they pleased, I couldn't help but worry. About 2 hours later, Rala called. Hello? Is everything okay? Yeah, it's about to get interesting. What do you mean? I'm switching to video now. The screen showed the wedding reception. Mom, can you see it? Yes, I can see it clearly. We're about to cause some trouble, so watch closely. I watched nervously, wondering what would happen. It looked like the bride was about to read a letter to her parents. A large screen behind her was probably going to show some pictures. Just as she started reading, the screen showed a video of Lien with some woman. And it wasn't the bride. What is this? As the video continued, more women appeared. Apparently, Lien liked recording his escapades. How disgusting. He had been with 5 different women. Mom, did you see that? Yes, when did you prepare this? We found an opportunity. But there's more. The video took a sudden turn. I immediately recognized Henry and Rala by their voices, even though they were wearing masks. This man is about to get married, but he has been involved with 5 different women. And that's not all. This man is a criminal, practicing bigamy. This is where it hit me. Henry and Rala had told me not to file the divorce papers for a reason. It was all for this. When the video ended, the wedding venue was in chaos. The bride lunged at Lien, looking like she was about to hit him. Let's finish this, Henry said. They walked over to Lien. Was this your doing? Lien asked. Why are you angry now? Yeah, it's all your own doing. By the way, Mom is watching this too. Do you have anything to say? Mary. Don't say anything more. Just hearing you call my name makes my skin crawl. So she said. Well, we're satisfied. Let's go home. Yeah, Mom is waiting for us. I saw Jane in the corner of the screen, looking like her world had ended. That was her own fault too. Henry and Rala came home with triumphant smiles. Great job. That was incredibly entertaining. Did you like it? Of course. But where did you get that footage? Oh, that. When I heard Henry's explanation, it all made sense. First, Henry had been curious about what Lien was doing when he wasn't at home.
To figure it out, he developed an app himself and installed it on the day Lien was frantically searching for his missing smartphone. But how did you manage that without him noticing?
He was snoring away. I came up with the idea, Rala added.
And not just that. We pulled all the data from his phone to our computer. That's how we got the footage.
Impressive.
But it wasn't over yet. The next day, Lien showed up at our house.
Hey, what the hell is this?
He was holding an envelope. Oh, you saw it?
What was that?
That was a letter with photos and contact details of your mistresses.
You have no idea what you've done. I got kicked out because of that.
You can't be serious. And by the way, Lien, you tried to spread lies about me at work, didn't you? It didn't work though. So, what do you want?
We're still married, right? Henry said so yesterday.
Oh, that. We just said that to set you up. He still thought I hadn't submitted the divorce papers.
You're a bit late. I already submitted them. But I'll still get the compensation. What? You've got to be kidding me.
Rala, who had been silent, finally spoke.
The joke's on you. You've probably already been sued by your fiancé too. That's why you're here, right?
He fell silent, hit by the truth. And don't forget, you're a criminal. That's true.
If you don't want to get arrested, you should leave now. Damn it, you'll pay for this.
I don't even want to remember you. I never saw Lien again after he left in a hurry. It turned out he refused to pay the compensation and ran away. He was found by the police in a park and taken back to his new wife. His life was bound to be a living hell.
What a pathetic man, Henry said.
Well, he deserved it after everything he did, Rala replied.
It's like he was never really part of our family, I added.
Now, the three of us live happily together. Henry and Rala both passed their exams and are starting their new lives as college students. I'll continue to watch over them. Rebecca and I, childhood best friends, never run out of things to talk about. Our conversations start with reminiscing about our early years and lead to discussing our first loves. We lose track of time, laughing occasionally, and when the conversation eventually lulls, I muster up the courage to ask about her husband Gary, a topic I had been contemplating bringing up for a while. Weren't you with Gary the other day? I ask, trying to sound as casual as possible. Yeah, probably. It's just as you imagine. I'm having an affair with Gary. Apparently, he doesn't have any affection for you. Gary and I are getting married. The date is set, so make sure you're divorced by then. He said his marriage to you was only for the money, Erica reveals bluntly. I feel my voice catch in my throat, unable to express my emotions. After Erica leaves, I head to my room with a heavy heart and collapse onto the bed. A few days later, my children come to visit me. Did something happen? Surprised, I remain silent, and my daughter Jennifer patiently waits for me to speak. Taking a deep breath, I decide to confide in Jennifer about the heavy burden weighing on my heart. I tell her how I invited Erica over and confronted her about the affair with Gary, which she readily admitted to. Erica even told me that they were planning to get married and that I should divorce Gary. Jennifer gently puts her arm around my shoulder and whispers, I knew it. Don't worry, Tim and I will figure something out, she assures me. Tim, my son, who was drinking milk in the kitchen, chimes in with a soft, yeah. No need to worry. We have evidence, he adds.
The curtain rises on hell,
Jennifer remarks with a mischievous grin, as if concocting a new prank. My name is Rebecca, and I'm 58 years old. I'm just your average, everyday housewife, the kind you'd find anywhere. I sit in my living room chair, gazing absent-mindedly as the evening light filters through the window into the room. Alone, I eat my meal in solitude, feeling a profound sense of loneliness. The person who should be sitting across the table from me is not here. I believe my marriage to Gary was never truly bad. Blessed with 2 children, Jennifer and Tim, Gary, with whom I've shared many joys and sorrows, is someone I consider to be the best partner. Recently, though, Gary has been coming home from work later than usual. On the verge of retirement, Gary stepped down from his managerial position and often returned home on time. However, about 6 months ago, he suddenly started coming home late, and I found myself eating dinner alone more frequently. The fact that Jennifer and Tim have both become independent and live on their own has also contributed to my loneliness. Although I certainly feel the bonds of family, I can't help but feel my presence fading as my children grow up. Lost in thought, I finish my meal and put the half-eaten dinner in the refrigerator. I'd love for us to go to a restaurant together again, I mutter to myself with a wry smile. 6 months ago, for my birthday, my children organized a dinner party at a restaurant. Despite the heavy rain that day, being able to go to a restaurant I had long wanted to visit with my family felt like a dream come true. The restaurant sits atop a small hill, a somewhat famous local establishment. In the spring, you can see the canola flowers blooming along the riverbank from the hill, a truly beautiful sight. Unfortunately, due to the heavy rain, we couldn't see the canola flowers from the window, but my heart was still filled with happiness. Having my children leave the nest and occasionally return home to share a meal together is supposed to be a truly joyful thing. Yet, I can't help but feel lonely. Is it because I'm being greedy? I wonder if feeling lonely when your children leave home and you find yourself with more time alone is something every ordinary housewife experiences. One day, while shopping at the local supermarket, I unexpectedly run into my childhood friend Erica. Oh, what a coincidence! It's been a while, hasn't it? About a year, I think. Erica exclaims. Yes, it has. I reply, noticing how much Erica has changed since I last saw her a year ago. Erica, who never used to dress up, is now wearing quite flashy clothes. She has on an expensive-looking white shirt with a large blue gemstone necklace adorning her neckline. She's wearing an eccentric white hat and pants with a pattern I've never seen before. Erica must have noticed me observing her outfit because she gives a wry smile and lightly taps me on the shoulder. Actually, my husband passed away 6 months ago, and I've been living alone since then, she confesses, her voice tinged with a hint of sadness. What? Really? I ask, surprised by this unexpected revelation. Since then, I've been doing whatever I want. Eating what I like, wearing what I like. Erica says with a laugh, but I can't help but sense a touch of loneliness behind her words. I ponder what I can do for Erica and lightly tap my hand as an idea comes to mind. I know. Hey, Erica. I begin, my eyes lighting up with excitement. I have a small backyard at my house. It's where we used to have lively barbecues when the kids were young. I suggest to Erica that we have a barbecue at my place next weekend. Erica seems a bit hesitant at first, but quickly breaks into a smile and happily accepts my invitation. On the way home from shopping, I find myself eagerly anticipating the upcoming barbecue, hoping that Erica will enjoy herself. Before I know it, the promised day arrives. I ask Gary to help with the barbecue preparations, and Jennifer and Tim join us as well, promising a lively holiday gathering after a long time. Jennifer and Tim seem a bit perplexed by Erica's presence, but I proceed with the preparations without giving it much thought. Under the pleasant sunshine of a clear day, Erica looks incredibly attractive in her straw hat and refreshing outfit. Originally, Erica was not only my classmate but also Gary's. When I considerately offer to take over the barbecue duties from Gary, saying, "I'll take it from here," he and Erica begin to chat and laugh together. Occasionally, Erica would lean against Gary's shoulder, laughing heartily, their cheeks almost touching as they shared drinks. Seeing this, Jennifer and Tim clearly show disgust, their faces contorted with displeasure. I sense my children's feelings and make eye contact with them, silently pleading for their understanding. Erica might be lonely after losing her husband. She's drinking, too, so let's cut her some slack for today, I reason, hoping they'll empathize with her situation.
If you say so, Mom, I guess it's fine.
Jennifer reluctantly agrees, but Tim continues to glare sharply at Erica. A few months later, an incident occurs that throws my life's gears into disarray. It happens on a day when I decide to take a long overdue train trip to do some shopping. It's a holiday, and Gary had also left early in the morning, saying he had some errands to run. As I walk along the street lined with numerous stores, I gaze at the products through the glass windows without stopping. I can tell that the items in each store are refined and expensive without even looking at the prices, so I don't feel particularly tempted to buy anything. Suddenly, as I pass by a certain store, I spot Erica on the other side of the glass. Erica seems to be happily selecting from an array of dresses. It's a wedding dress rental shop, with white wedding gowns displayed in the front. Assuming she must be choosing a dress for a relative's wedding, I decide not to call out to her and attempt to walk past.
Huh?
I mutter under my breath, my feet coming to an abrupt halt. I had been so sure that Erica was with someone I didn't know, but there, standing next to her, is Gary. Gary is laughing loudly, holding up an outfit against his body with a delighted expression. As Erica and Gary disappear into the back of the store, I distinctly see them casually holding hands. Stunned by this utterly unexpected scene, I find myself unable to process my emotions and end up returning home without doing anything. Despite venturing out, I come back empty-handed, and in a daze, I search for Erica's name in my mobile phone contacts. After agonizing over the message content, I finally hit send. "Want to grab a coffee together sometime?" My short message reads. To my brief message, a simple reply arrives.
"Sure. I'll come by the day after tomorrow."
I can't help but wonder if Gary is sitting next to her, laughing as they read the message together on her mobile phone screen. The thought makes my chest tighten with fear, and without even waiting to confirm Gary's return home, I drift off to sleep. For a while after that, I didn't speak to Gary, but he didn't seem particularly concerned about my behavior. Then, a few days later, Erica visits my house. Erica brings along a delicious-looking tea that I've never seen before as a gift, and we sit facing each other, chatting and laughing. As childhood friends, we never run out of topics to discuss. We start with memories from our early years and move on to talking about our first loves. We lose track of time, laughing occasionally, and when the conversation eventually lulls, I ask about Gary, a topic I had been pondering how to bring up for a while.
"Weren't you with Gary the other day?"
I inquire, trying to sound as casual as possible. The moment I wait for Erica's response feels excruciatingly long, as if time has frozen. Then, with a half-finished cup of tea in hand, Erica smiles at me and says matter-of-factly, "Yeah. It's probably just as you imagine, Rebecca. I'm having an affair with Gary. Apparently, he doesn't have any affection for you." Erica smirks, covering her mouth with her hand. Seeing me at a loss for words, Erica seems to take some pleasure in it and continues speaking mercilessly. "He complained that he only married you because you're the daughter of a wealthy family," she reveals, her words cutting deep. I find myself studying Erica's face intently. he complained. While I think to myself that it must be a lie, I listen attentively to Erica's next words. He said he's never felt any attraction to you as a woman. Apparently, your family background was the reason he married you, she adds, twisting the knife further. Whether it's true or not, I have no way to verify it, but I find myself choking on my words as tears begin to flow. That's... Gary is... I stammer, struggling to form a coherent sentence. He's been considering divorce for quite a while now, but he couldn't bring himself to go through with it, Erica continues, relentless in her revelations. I know I should be angry at this moment. But my voice is stuck in my throat, and I find myself unable to express my emotions. He's the one who approached me. By dating me, he's started to seriously consider the divorce he couldn't go through with before, Erica concludes, shattering my world with her words. Erica finishes the last bit of tea left in her cup, her lips curling into a sneer as she licks them. The mocking expression on her face is one I don't recognize, a stark contrast to the Erica I thought I knew. Gary and I are getting married. We've already set the date, so make sure you're divorced by then, she declares, her words hitting me like a sledgehammer. Devastated by Erica's revelation, I find myself at a loss for words, unable to do anything but watch helplessly as she gathers her things and leaves my house. After Erica's departure, I drag my heavy body to my room and collapse onto the bed, my heart weighed down by the crushing news. I stare up at the ceiling, my eyes falling shut, but even with my eyes closed, I can't escape the thoughts of Erica that haunt my mind. I clench my fists tightly, my nails digging into my palms as I try to process the betrayal. Tears begin to flow from my eyes, and I can't remember the last time I cried like this. In that moment, I find myself thinking about how warm tears feel, a trivial thought that has no place in my current situation. A few days later, Jennifer and Tim come to visit me. They arrive during the day and express their suspicion about Gary's absence, asking, "Dad's still out?" But as soon as they glance at my face, their expressions turn serious. "Did something happen?" Jennifer inquires, her concern evident in her voice. "What?" I reply, caught off guard by her question. Surprised, I remain silent, and Jennifer waits patiently for me to speak. Ever since she was young, Jennifer has had a keen sense of intuition, able to calmly discern between good and bad in people. I take a deep breath and decide to confide in Jennifer, determined to unburden the heavy weight that has been pressing on my heart. I begin to recount the recent events in the most cheerful voice I can muster. I tell her how I invited Erica over and confronted her about the affair with Gary, which she readily admitted to. I explain that Erica told me they were planning to get married and that she wanted me to divorce Gary. Apparently, his marriage to me was just for the money. I say with a hint of self-deprecation, forcing a smile at the end of my words. But if there had been a mirror in front of me, it would have reflected the image of a woman wearing a strained, artificial smile. Still, I put on a brave face, not wanting to worry Jennifer and Tim. Jennifer gently puts her arm around my shoulder and whispers, "I knew it. It's okay. Tim and I will figure something out," she assures me, rubbing my shoulder comfortingly. Tim, who was drinking milk in the kitchen, chimes in with a soft, "Yeah. I thought she was a suspicious person during the barbecue the other day." "Don't worry, we've got evidence," he adds, his voice filled with determination. "The curtain rises on hell," Jennifer remarks, as she and Tim exchange mischievous grins, as if concocting a new scheme. A few days later, Erica is once again sitting in my house, sipping tea. This time, she didn't bring any gifts, and I served the tea she had brought during her previous visit. Gary is also sitting beside Erica, fidgeting nervously with his hands. This gathering was arranged by Tim. Since it's a weekday afternoon, both Jennifer and Tim took time off work to create this opportunity for a discussion. Tim instructed me to invite not only Erica but also Gary to the house. Regardless of Gary's work commitments, Tim seems quite irritated by the fact that Erica had an affair with him and demanded a divorce from me.
What do you intend to talk about?
I asked Tim weakly beforehand.
Leave it to me and Jennifer. You don't need to worry, Mom.
He replies with a reassuring smile. Unlike the gentle and kind demeanor he usually shows me, Tim is now looking down at Erica and Gary with a cold expression.
I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. I was having an affair with Erica.
Gary is the first to break the silence. With the entire family gathered and Erica present, he must have realized what was happening. Seeing this, Erica puts her arm around Gary's shoulder and says,
There's no need to apologize.
In a gentle tone.
Here,
Tim says, tossing a photograph in front of Erica. It appears to be a photo taken during a trip, showing Gary and Erica smiling at each other, just the two of them. The photograph clearly demonstrates that Gary and Erica's relationship goes beyond mere friendship. Erica looks up at Tim after seeing the photo.
Even without evidence, Gary and I are having an affair.
Erica admits defiantly.
So it seems. But there are plenty of other photos I'd like you to see.
Tim counters, spreading a large number of photographs on the table. Erica's face visibly pales as she looks at a few of the photos. Tim explains that he investigated Erica's social media accounts and printed out photos and posts dating back several years. There are private photo messages and other personal information about Erica printed out. Additionally, there are photos of people who appear to be Erica's friends and classmates, indicating that Tim thoroughly researched Erica's social connections through her social media.
What's particularly interesting is this photo from last month.
Tim points out. The photo shows a young woman I don't recognize cooking in a house. Next to the unknown woman, a man can be seen relaxing in the living room. As Tim silently points to the man sitting on the sofa, I lean in to take a closer look and realize it's Erica's husband, George.
Last month's photo? Erica, you said you lost George 6 months ago.
I say, confused and upset.
Erica, lying about being single to deceive Dad constitutes fraud.
Tim confronts Erica, leaving me reeling in shock. He stares into Erica's eyes intensely, causing her to scrunch up her face in discomfort.
You went through my social media and searched for my acquaintances? You have poor taste. Those photos were taken when George was still alive, and I just posted them, that's all, Erica retorts defensively.
Is that so? By the way, I'm a police officer.
If there's suspicion of a crime, I have the authority to launch a full-scale investigation into you, Erica, Tim reveals.
Tim, who has always had a strong sense of justice and excellent athletic abilities, is a police officer. Due to the nature of his profession, he rarely introduces himself as a police officer upon first meeting someone, as it can intimidate them. I think to myself that he must be really angry to declare his occupation as a police officer. Erica glares at him and gathers all the photos on the table, shoving them into the trash can. My small trash can overflows with the numerous photos, but she doesn't seem to care.
It's true that George is alive. But there's love between Gary and me. Isn't that right, Gary?
Erica says, her words sounding like a scene from a dramatic play. She buries her face in Gary's shoulder, making crying noises even though there are no tears. Gary forcefully pushes Erica away as she leans against his shoulder, causing her to tilt her head in surprise.
Stop it. You were deceiving me, weren't you?
Gary accuses her. Before Erica can respond, Jennifer hands her a few documents. These are documents stating that you committed marriage fraud against Dad. After Tim arrests you, I will do everything in my power to defend Dad, Jennifer declares. She informs us that Gary has hired her as his defense attorney. Jennifer, who has always been sincere, kind, and able to maintain a fair perspective, is a lawyer. Jennifer had apparently been suspicious of Erica and Gary's relationship since the barbecue. She noticed a level of closeness between them that couldn't be explained away by mere intoxication, leading her to suspect a romantic involvement. As a lawyer, she has many acquaintances, including private investigators. When she requested an investigation, it quickly came to light that not only had Erica not lost George, but she wasn't even divorced. Confronted with this fact and finding herself completely isolated, Erica stands there in a daze, staggering backward as if about to collapse.
What's with all of you? Have you ever thought about how privileged you are?
Erica shouts as she takes a book from the shelf and throws it at Gary. Gary covers his face and cowers, but Tim calmly catches the book thrown at him with ease. Erica, breathing heavily in agitation, glares at me with bloodshot eyes and this time slams the book on the floor.
Rebecca, I've always hated you. You got married before me, have 2 children, a house, and are wealthy.
Erica. I start to say.
You have all the qualities that make people jealous of you, yet you live your life so nonchalantly without any awareness of it, and that's what I can't stand about you.
From then on, Erica's unhinged behavior was not pleasant to watch. She rages with disheveled hair, hurling insults at me. Tim listens silently with his arms crossed. Jennifer steps forward to stop Erica, but I halt her with a glance. Let her say what she wants to say. Erica was never blessed with children. When I had my first child, Erica came to my house with a wedding gift and held little Tim. For some reason, I now recall Erica's gentle expression as she held Tim, as if cradling a precious jewel, with such loving affection.
Is George leaving me because I couldn't have children? Tell me, Rebecca.
Erica shakes my shoulders, her eyes wild. I was also invited to Erica's wedding. A man she met at work, slightly younger than Erica and seemingly taciturn. He didn't seem particularly friendly, but Erica sat next to him in her wedding dress with a radiant smile.
Why? Why were you at that restaurant that day, Rebecca? Huh, that restaurant? Yes, the one on top of that hill. Such a lovely restaurant, why?
Tim and Jennifer exchange glances, indicating they don't understand. I'm the only one who comprehends Erica's increasingly incoherent words. The restaurant where everyone celebrated my birthday. On that day, in the midst of my happiness, while dining at that restaurant, I gazed at the torrential rain pouring down outside, and though it might have been my imagination, I thought I saw an acquaintance getting drenched. Could that have been Erica?
That day, George brought up divorce. He had been cheating on me, and we were separated for a while. I felt like nothing mattered anymore, and I was just walking aimlessly. And then, I happened to see you, Rebecca, by the window of the restaurant.
Erica mumbles, staring at me.
You had such a happy look on your face, gazing out the window with satisfaction.
Erica suddenly bursts into laughter.
At that moment, I thought, I'll make you feel the same way. I'll make you experience the same sadness I did. And yet,
Erica.
Don't look at me like that forever. I was so close to seeing you become miserable, Rebecca.
Erica's shoulders slump and she sits down right there. I instinctively want to approach Erica and put my arm around her, but Jennifer, noticing my intention, grabs my arm to stop me.
Mom,
Jennifer says, not uttering another word. Reaching out my hand now would surely be cruel, further hurting Erica. It implied that my relationship with Erica could never return to what it was. I had lost my dear childhood friend. When George learned of this incident, Erica formally divorces him. Gary, having fallen into Erica's trap of marriage fraud, meets a pathetic end and becomes depressed at home. Having been scolded harshly by Jennifer and Tim, Gary seems to reflect deeply and starts speaking to me in a polite manner. On his days off, he diligently cleans the house from morning to noon and even massages the soles of my feet at night. He also takes the initiative to cook, and it's amusing to see him screaming in the kitchen as he tries to prepare the dishes I request. One night, while Gary is massaging my feet, I ask him, "Why did you even consider having an affair with Erica?" Although Gary is shy when it comes to romance, he's an honest and sincere man. I couldn't imagine him as someone who would cheat, so I'm genuinely curious.
It's embarrassing to admit, but
Gary says awkwardly, confessing that he had a complex about his lack of experience with women, as I was his only partner. Erica knew that Gary and I had been together since our student days and got married. She pointed out Gary's inexperience and seduced him, saying, "You only live once.
Isn't it a waste not to know other women?"
I deeply regret it. I betrayed you out of mere curiosity, Rebecca. I'm truly sorry. Do you still love me now?" "Of course," Gary replies as he continues to massage my feet. I realize that Erica's claim about Gary marrying me for money was a lie. Gary fell in love with my lively personality and married me. And he assures me of that. Your hand stopped. Press harder. Yes, dear. I smile as I lie face down. Some time passes. And on a pleasant spring day, I sit in the back seat of Tim's car with the window open, feeling the outside breeze. The car slowly ascends the hill and reaches a small peak where the town can be seen in the distance. "We're here. Watch your step," Tim says as he carries my luggage and escorts me to the restaurant. As I take my designated seat, I see a vast field of canola flowers blooming along the riverbank outside the large window. The sight of the yellow flowers stretching endlessly on both sides of the straight river is breathtaking. "It's beautiful. Happy birthday," Gary says, handing me a small bag while gauging my reaction. Inside is a pair of socks. I can't help but laugh at the idea of receiving socks as a birthday present. No, these are expensive socks I bought from a specialty store," Gary explains, while Tim puts his head in his hands and shakes his head. And Jennifer laughs while clutching her stomach. He's truly a hopeless man. Laughing, I shift my gaze out the window. My happiness has always been my own. It doesn't matter if someone tries to deny it or what they think of me. I'm sure I'll be all right, that I can become even happier than I am now. The canola flowers on the riverbank sway endlessly in the wind.
My name is Helen. I've been married for 5 years and working on fertility treatment with my husband, Andrew. We had been trying timed intercourse for a while, but no luck. Finally, we decided to undergo testing for both of us. Just as the test results were about to come back, I was hit with a shocking revelation. 1 week after Andrew's test, something unexpected happened. Andrew's mother, Michelle, barged into our home. "Helen, what's the meaning of this? How could you put Andrew through a fertility test?" What do you mean? It's like you're blaming Andrew. Pregnancy is something a woman can make happen with sheer willpower. Testing him, that's outrageous. Outrageous. You do realize that male infertility is also a possibility these days, don't you? What nonsense. If someone can't conceive, it's always the woman's fault. I got pregnant with Andrew right away, His younger brother, too, was conceived as soon as we started trying. Infertility just doesn't exist in our family. But you're an only child, aren't you? Yes, my parents did undergo fertility treatment. But in their case, it was my father who had infertility issues. That's irrelevant. Genetically speaking, it's you who's infertile. Anyway, Andrew and you clearly aren't a good match. Just get divorced already. What? I said, get divorced. This is a matter between Andrew and me. Why are you interfering? Do you even want a divorce, Andrew? Well, yeah, actually, I do. What? But we just started fertility treatment. I'm sorry, Helen, I'm going to have a child. What? What are you talking about? You took too long to get pregnant. I have someone else now. She's expecting my child, so you're no longer needed. Just sign the divorce papers. Wait a minute. Are you saying you've been cheating on me? Well, yay, so just sign the papers and send them back. You think I can just agree to this without knowing anything? What do you expect me to do? She's pregnant. I need to take responsibility for the child. We were about to have a child of our own, and you're telling me you cheated? That's unacceptable. Well, you weren't getting pregnant, or you. Mom wanted to see her grandchild sooner rather than later. Exactly. He acted out of consideration for me. I don't have much time left. This isn't his fault. It's all on you, Helen. How am I at fault for being cheated on? And I've been doing everything, tracking my basal body temperature, avoiding alcohol, eating right, managing my stress for this treatment. I even plan to pay for future treatments with my savings. Results are all that matter. In the old days, a woman's worth was measured by whether she could conceive. So just sign the papers. Submit them properly. Let's go, Andrew. I'm sorry, Helen, that's how it is. With that, the two left the house. I was shaking with anger, about to explode. Fueled by that anger, I signed the divorce papers. The next day, I went to submit the divorce papers. It all happened so suddenly that I didn't have time to demand compensation. After doing some research, I found that I could claim compensation later. So I decided to start by looking for a lawyer. To claim compensation, I needed proof of the affair. So I planned to gather evidence through social media and other means. After submitting the divorce papers, I returned home, and the doorbell rang almost immediately. It was the police standing at the door. Is this Andrew's residence? Yes, it is. Has something happened? Actually, he's under suspicion of embezzlement. Is Andrew home? Well, we just got divorced today. Should I contact him and ask him to come? That's fine. We'll come back another time. With that, the officers left. I immediately called Andrew, but he didn't pick up. I decided to go to Andrew's family home. When I rang the doorbell, a woman I didn't know answered. Who are you? I'm Andrew's ex-wife. Is Andrew here? Ex-wife. You must be mistaken. Mistaken? No, I'm not. We were married until yesterday. Andrew, what's going on? Oh, hey, why are you here? I need to talk to you. You're not here to complain, are you? We talked yesterday, and it was over. Can you explain what's going on? Well, it's complicated. Oh, this woman has been stalking me. Stalking you? Are you serious? You cheated and left. I'm here to talk about something important. Compensation. What? I don't understand. Were you cheating with this woman? I'm the one who was cheated on. I was his wife until yesterday. And who are you? I'm his fiancée. We're getting married. He even proposed to me. You're crazy. You're the mistress. Andrew isn't married. Let me show you. This is our wedding photo. See? We've been married for 5 years. But he cheated, got you pregnant. and wanted a divorce. I only found out yesterday. So I was his wife until yesterday. Now I'm his ex-wife. Do you believe me now? What's going on? Explain this properly. And you, come inside. Hey, wait a second. Be quiet. You're going to explain this thoroughly. You too, come in. Fine. So, you were married. I believe that. But you deceived me. Deceived or kept it secret. Look, it's just a guy's instinct to go for a good woman. Luckily, we didn't have kids, so I thought the divorce would be straightforward. I apologize for keeping it from you, but now that the divorce is finalized, it's just us getting married, right? Let's forget about this. We'll kick her out and live happily. Chased away. You sure have a lot of nerve. Cheating is already out of bounds. Well, you can have that man. Good luck not being cheated on yourself. Me, the other woman. This is the worst. Honestly, I thought you were the mistress. But fine, I guess I won him. Doesn't that make you the loser? Keep telling yourself that. Oh, Helen, what are you doing here? Michelle, why didn't you tell me Andrew was married? You both tricked me. I'll let it slide this time, but I'm really angry. Oh, I'm sorry, Samantha, but since you're marrying him, can't you forgive us? Fine, whatever. Where did you two even meet? I can't just leave without knowing. At a bar. I go there with my boss often. We hit it off there. Exactly. And he bought me plenty of drinks. I quit the bar after I got pregnant. Andrew's been paying my rent ever since. Recently, we moved in together. It's easier to raise a child that way. Unlike you, I could actually have a child. Exactly. She's infertile. I'm thrilled Samantha's pregnant because I've been waiting for grandchildren. Normally, as his mother, I'd scold Andrew for cheating, but isn't it worse not to take responsibility? Thankfully, they didn't have kids. Samantha deserves priority. I'm grateful to her. Right. So why don't you leave now? You're divorced and a stranger. Goodbye, barren woman. Keep talking. You won't be so smug for long. What? Is there something you know? Who's the father of that baby? What? Andrews, of course. Are you sure? Yes, I am. What's so funny? Oh, Helen, have you lost your mind? Jealousy can drive people crazy, you know. If you're unstable, maybe you should just go. Michelle, will you be quiet? Such a cheeky girl. Hey, what are you getting at? Take a look at this. Wait, is this? What's this? This is the infertility test result from the other day. Look closely. It says male infertility. Without treatment, Andrew's chances of fathering a child are nearly zero. Surgery and IVF would be required. I was perfectly fine. So the issue wasn't me. Now the question is, whose child is that? What? No way. This can't be true. I mean, Samantha's pregnant with my child. So whose child is it, really? Of course, it's Andrew's. What's wrong with you? Dragging him into an infertility test was already ridiculous. As I said before, it's disrespectful to Andrew. This result must be fake. This is an official test result from the hospital. We've talked about male infertility being a thing now, haven't we? It didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere, but with more couples undergoing fertility treatments and later marriages, it's finally being acknowledged. I know you don't want to believe your son is the cause, but unfortunately, the results are clear. So, Michelle, who is the father of this long-awaited grandchild? Hey, Samantha, say something. What? This result? It's just a fluke that I got pregnant. Okay. Yes, this is a miracle baby. Jealousy won't change the fact that I'm not leaving. Yes, this is a miracle baby. So you'll raise this child, no matter what condition they're born in. The test says Andrew's DNA shows a high risk of abnormalities. What? It's not healthy, and there's a risk it won't even survive. Samantha, how many months along are you? I'm 7 months. Andrew, how long have you been seeing her? 7 months. When did you find out she was pregnant? A week after we started dating. You know, pregnancy is usually detected around the 3rd month. It's impossible to know after just a week of dating. It takes at least 2 months before you can confirm it's Andrew's child. But if you still want to trust her, that's your choice. How about a DNA test? If you doubt it that much, we'll get it done. Samantha, she's being too much, so let's just do the test. What? No DNA test. Why not? What if something happens to the baby? Are you hiding something? I'm not hiding anything. Michelle, you've realized it, haven't you? You're a mother too. Andrew, this child isn't yours. Mom, why are you saying this? Samantha, I'm a woman too. I know. So, whose child is it? Eck, this is so annoying. Why now of all times? Samantha, are you kidding me? Eck, I thought I could fool you. Guess not. Sorry, Andrew. It's not your child. What? Is that true? I thought you'd figure it out, but Andrew's too naive. This baby is my ex-boyfriend's child. He doesn't want to marry, though, and since Andrew proposed, I thought, why not? But I didn't think I was being lied to, too. I thought you were single, but finding out yesterday you were married was a shock. Well, we both lied, so let's forget this and move forward. The baby is innocent, after all. Are you kidding me? Why should I raise someone else's child? I want my own kids, not someone else's. Get out of my house now, and forget about marriage. Seriously, you lied to me first, so don't act all righteous. And what about the baby? It'll be so pitiful without a father. It never had one in the first place. Don't they say a parent who raises is more important than one who gives birth? So, start being a father now. Once the baby is born, you'll find them adorable and feel like they're your own. Right, Michelle? You want grandchildren, don't you? And besides, this man is infertile, so you might not get any cute grandkids otherwise. Wouldn't it be smarter to let me marry him and fulfill your dream of raising a grandchild? No, I can't do that. I won't raise a grandchild who isn't related to me by blood. I wouldn't find them cute, and the thought of them being someone else's child would always linger in my mind. You all are so stubborn. Babies are adorable once they're born. Just accept it. Besides, I'm pregnant and can't work right now. How am I supposed to survive without support? Are you really going to kick out a pregnant woman? That's so heartless. Enough. You've brought this upon yourself, and it's just karma catching up with you. Anyway, I have absolutely no intention of raising someone else's child. Neither do I. We'll have grandchildren someday if we try hard enough. That's right. Andrew should remarry Helen. Just cancel the divorce papers. You were planning to start fertility treatment, weren't you? Then go ahead with that and focus on preconception care. I'll even chip in some money. What are you talking about? We're already divorced, and I have no intention of involving both of you in the future. He'll pay the compensation, and I'm moving on with my life. There's no way we're getting back together. See, even she agrees. With me around, you'd get to see the baby, then have this child, and get pregnant with another right away. That way, the next child will be Andrew's. That's not possible since he's infertile, remember. Mom, I'm sorry, but I can't be with Samantha anymore. But I want grandchildren. Won't you fulfill my dream? No matter how much you ask, it's impossible. I want to be with someone who loves only me. If Helen would forgive me, that would be ideal. Andrew, how foolish can you be? That's never going to happen. Come on, it was just a moment of weakness. Can't you reconsider? No, forget about it. It's impossible. And being with someone like you, a criminal, that's just not happening. Soon enough, you might not even be able to stay here. A criminal? What are you talking about? Well, it's shocking, but Andrew's been embezzling money from his company. He's being held accountable for it. Is that true, Andrew? No, it wasn't embezzlement. I just borrowed some money, intending to grow it. That's unfortunate, because that's still fraud. Have you heard of investment scams? You fell for one. No way. Others were able to withdraw their money. That's because they're part of the scheme. No, that can't be. Well, Grandpa should be here soon. You can ask him yourself, Grandpa. Oh, didn't I tell you? The chairman of the company you work for is our grandpa. He just arrived, so I'll go get him. I invited Grandpa into Andrew's family home. It's been a while. Thank you for having me. Oh, it's been a while indeed. Let me get straight to the point. Andrew, I'm sorry, but you are terminated. What? Why? Why are you firing me so suddenly? You misused company funds and handed money over to some shady scam group. Investment fraud, or whatever it was. This is a very serious matter. We cannot overlook it, and there must be consequences. I just borrowed a little. I was going to pay it back soon. Please, don't fire me. Don't say such naive things. And furthermore, what you did to my precious granddaughter, I can't forgive you for that either. Helen has nothing to do with this, does she? This is an issue between me and my wife. I don't understand why you're so angry. Besides, I truly regret what I did, so please don't fire me. How am I supposed to support myself now? That will likely be from inside a prison cell. This matter has already been reported to the police, and you will have to atone for your crimes there. The police? This was a company issue, and you brought in the police. The detective was at the house earlier. What? They're already looking for me. This is the worst. I need to prepare to run. Too bad for you. They're already stationed outside. You have no escape. Eck, why is everything falling apart for me? My life is ruined. This is so annoying. I told you it was just a little money. Isn't it your job, as someone in charge, to protect valuable employees? There are so many things that won't get done without me. Sigh, you truly are a troublesome person. First, reflect on your actions, and on this marriage as well. Affairs are utterly unacceptable. You insulted and hurt my beloved granddaughter. Someone like that deserves immediate dismissal. If you can't even control your own emotions, there's no place for you in my company. On top of that, your attitude has negatively affected others. I've heard that you're deeply disliked by your colleagues. Reports of your harassment are rampant. Even without the embezzlement, your departure from this company was inevitable. I wasn't harassing anyone. That was discipline. If they felt harassed, then it's harassment. That's how it works now. And you weren't disciplining anyone. You were exploiting your subordinates. Eck, you're just an old man who doesn't get it. Don't you dare speak to my grandpa like that. You're all so annoying. Why is my life like this? It's the worst. I can't have the kids I wanted, and the one I thought was mine turned out not to be. The company's chairman is somehow my ex-wife's grandfather, and now I get fired because of some money issues. Am I just having the unluckiest year ever? Is that it? This is so frustrating. Whatever, I was planning to leave that company anyway. So am I getting arrested now? Will this go on my record? Please, just give me a break. This is all a result of your own actions. Blaming others and complaining won't help. You must take responsibility for the mess you've created. Only then will you find someone willing to help you again. But if you stay this way, You'll be completely alone. Is that what you want? Eck, you're so annoying. Stop lecturing me, you jerk. There's no such thing as being alone when I never wanted any friends to begin with. And now, when a big deal was about to go down, this happens. My luck is just terrible. My life is already over, so who cares anymore? Helen, this guy is hopeless. Divorce was the right decision. There's absolutely no sign of remorse. And he's never going to change. That's right, Grandpa. Divorcing him was the right call. What kind of upbringing leads to this? Oh, so you're blaming me now. I'm not saying it's entirely the mother's fault, but the family environment might have had some influence. So, just because I'm divorced, you're saying my son is a failure? I'm not calling him a failure, but as a parent, shouldn't you correct your child's mistakes? And to think you not only allowed his infidelity but also helped him just because you wanted grandchildren. And you were hard on Helen too, weren't you? Well, educating a son's wife is a mother-in-law's duty, isn't it? Someone who can't even raise their own son properly has no business educating anyone else. You should acknowledge your son's disgrace. He'll keep repeating the same mistakes. Mind your own business. And it's not like he's going to be arrested, right? Just using some company money doesn't warrant this. Losing his job should be punishment enough. Getting the police involved is overkill. Mom, do you agree? I kind of thought it was over the top too. I mean, I'm saying I'll pay the money back. Eck, you just don't get it, do you? A company isn't just one person. It's countless people whose lives depend on it. Using company funds for your personal gain, compromising security, and risking the company's collapse could threaten the livelihoods of all its employees. Do you not understand how serious that is? I have a duty to protect the company and the lives of the employees. This isn't an overreaction. My decision was the right one. That's right. Grandpa made the right call as a leader. The police getting involved isn't strange at all. What's strange is the way you two behave, looking down on others, mocking them, and acting selfishly. You even tried to ruin other people's lives. My own years of marriage felt like a complete waste. I wish I could get that time back. And Andrew was the one who couldn't have kids, but you blamed me. I wanted children. From now on, I don't want anything to do with you. All communication will go through my lawyer. A lawyer? What are you talking about? I'm getting fired, so good luck trying to get a dime out of me. I've already spoken to your dad since the divorce. What? You told Dad? Are you kidding me? That's right. Why would you do that? I hear Michelle's still getting money from Andrew's dad, for his sake. Where exactly is that money going? How do you know about that? What? Mom, you've still been getting money from Dad. If it's for me, give it to me. It seems your dad didn't even know Andrew was married. He thought it was supposed to stop once Andrew got married. Doesn't Michelle's phone still get calls from your dad? Shut up already. You're such a disgusting woman. Lying seems to run in the family. Trash like you and your son can go straight to hell. You two are such horrible women. What? What did I do? That's enough talking. My friend, a detective, is waiting outside. Andrew, you're coming with me. You can explain everything at the police station. Eck, what a drag. Fine, I'll go. Whatever. It's not like I want to see Mom again after she took the money. I'll go wherever you want. See you, you worthless women. All right, Helen, I'm leaving now. Take care of yourself. I'll hire a skilled lawyer to make sure you get your compensation. Reach out to them. Thank you, Grandpa. You've been such a big help. Yay, talk to you later. Keep me updated. With that, Grandpa took Andrew away. Afterward, Michelle and Samantha got into an argument, but I left them to it. Later, I managed to secure the compensation I deserved. As for who paid it, it was Andrew's father. His father had been divorced and had been sending monthly support money for Andrew. However, they had agreed it would stop once Andrew got married. Apparently, Michelle had kept Andrew's marriage a secret because she wanted the money. When I contacted Andrew's father and explained everything, he was shocked. He decided to pay the compensation. Michelle, however, continued to demand money, claiming that Andrew's divorce entitled her to more, but he cut ties with her entirely. Andrew was eventually arrested and found guilty. He won't be getting out anytime soon. Michelle, after Andrew's arrest, suffered a severe mental breakdown and is now in a psychiatric hospital. It's what she deserves. Samantha returned to her family home to give birth. She gave up the baby for adoption, and the child found a loving family almost immediately. As for Samantha herself, I have no idea what she's doing now. The rumors say she's bouncing between jobs at different clubs and has no permanent home. As for me, 3 months have passed since all of this happened. I'm raising a little boy now, and I'm expecting another child due next spring. I thought I'd never want to marry again, but a friend introduced me to a wonderful man, and we hit it off. Wanting children, I moved forward with marriage, and now I'm blessed with a growing family. Grandpa was strongly opposed to me marrying again, but he eventually gave his blessing, moved by my partner's sincerity. Grandpa even named my child. He chose a name that symbolizes strength and resilience. Now I live happily with my child, the one on the way, and my husband. Through all of this, I've learned the importance of expressing my feelings honestly. I used to suppress my emotions, but now I understand that communication is key to mutual understanding. That lesson has been my foundation for building a strong marriage. My time with Andrew was filled with bad memories, but I believe my new husband is helping to rewrite that chapter. I have a great relationship with his parents, and life now is beyond comparison to what it was. This weekend, I'm going to lunch and shopping with his mom. I feel nothing but gratitude for the happiness he's brought into my life. Despite the painful past, I'm determined to move forward and focus on the bright future ahead.
Dad, remember that gymnastics routine from yesterday? The one where the bride stripped off all her clothes. The atmosphere in the wedding reception hall went dead silent at my daughter's words. Just as the bride was about to read a letter to her parents, 5-year-old Tina blurted it out loud. The bride's face turned to stone, and Luke, who was holding Tina on his lap, looked like he'd seen a ghost. As the eyes of everyone in the hall turned towards our table, Tina continued. Why was she undressed if it wasn't bath time? You'll catch a cold if you undress anywhere other than the bathroom. To a child, it might be an innocent question, but adults instantly understand the implication. The hall couldn't settle down, the murmur was still there. Luke took Tina outside, and the female host, although shaken, tried to continue the ceremony. Encouraged by the host, the bride tried to resume reading her letter, but her voice was clearly trembling. Usually, you'd hear sniffling and see tears of emotion filling the hall. But not a sound could be heard. Tina's comment had turned what should have been a joyous event into complete chaos. I'm Bianca, 33 years old, and I live with my husband Luke and our 5-year-old daughter, Tina. Luke has an older brother, James, who got married a bit late, at 40, to a much younger woman who's 28. Finally, they decided to tie the knot. At the family meeting about the engagement, James seemed utterly smitten with his fiancée. It was really heartwarming to see. Who could have thought that attending James's wedding as a family of 3 would lead to such a disaster? Naturally, after the wedding reception ended, the bridal suite turned into a scene of chaos.
I immediately confronted Luke.
What was that all about? That's just Tina being Tina. Don't take it seriously. Our kid just disrupted the whole ceremony. Of course I'm rattled. And it's your lack of discipline that led to this. You need to teach her better manners.
Luke then quickly handed Tina over to me and left in a hurry. It felt like he was running away from me. We were staying at Luke's parents' house the night before the wedding because it took place at a hotel near his hometown, and we live far away. His parents are genuinely kind people. They always have my back. Unlike some of my friends who dislike going to their in-laws, I've never felt uncomfortable there. That's why we had planned to take a week-long vacation around the time of the wedding and relax at Luke's parents' house before heading home. Even though both James and my sister-in-law Ashley are planning on living in that house, it's spacious enough to accommodate us comfortably. Tina, who's usually told not to run around in our cramped apartment, seemed excited and restless, walking all over the house to explore. Come to think of it, I recall Luke and Ashley being absent for a bit last night when we were having a good time drinking with James and parents-in-law.
Mom, Dad's playing around. Tina wants to join in too.
I feel like Tina did say something like that. Who would have thought that what she was referring to was Luke and Ashley cheating? In the bridal suite, James and Ashley spent a long time talking. Eventually, we decided to head to the after-party where our friends were waiting. As for Tina and me, we ended up going back to my parents-in-law's house. If what Tina said is true, I am so sorry. While returning from the hall, my mother-in-law Grace kept apologizing to me, looking genuinely regretful.
Please, stop. Luke is the one who's at fault here. Grace, you've done nothing wrong. It's my fault for not properly teaching him how to treat women. No family could possibly teach that level of decency.
When we arrived at the parents-in-law's home, Luke was already back, sitting alone, watching TV and drinking beer. Standing tall, Grace broke the ice.
So, what kind of gymnastics are we talking about? I'd love to see it. That's not it. I was just asking my future Ashley to look after my brother.
What a considerate younger brother you are.
But I can't imagine Tina lying. She's only 5 years old, and she often says strange things. Tina is my granddaughter, and she's very bright. So you're taking the word of a bad girl over your own son? Don't you dare call my precious granddaughter a bad girl.
Why are you getting mad? Both Grace and I have our suspicions about Luke. But we can't really push it further based solely on the word of a 5-year-old. Luke won't admit anything. He just went into a sulk and locked himself in his room. 2 days after the wedding, both Grace and I kept an eye on Luke, but he didn't do anything suspicious. Well, James and Ashley went off on their honeymoon, so it's not like he had a chance to be suspicious anyway. Meanwhile, Tina, ever the little explorer around the house, found something unbelievable.
Mommy, what does this say? Tina can't read cursive yet. You shouldn't be going through Grandma and Grandpa's stuff. No, it's not like that. I found this in Dad's bag. Is it a letter? Tina's written to her friends at preschool before. Let me see.
Shockingly, it was a letter from Ashley to Luke. No, calling it a letter doesn't quite do it justice. It was undeniably a love letter. The letter read,
Dear Luke, the day before the wedding was so exciting, wasn't it? We have to be cautious for a while since we're being watched at home. But we'll definitely have a chance, so don't give up. You're the only one I love, Luke. The reason I married an older man is so I could be with you. Come get me soon.
I couldn't let myself break down in front of Tina, so I forced myself to keep my composure. This is a work-related letter, so Mom will take care of it, okay?
Okay,
Tina replied cheerfully, heading off on another household adventure. So Tina wasn't mistaken after all. She really did see what was happening. I calmly took a photo of the letter and placed it back into Luke's bag. Then I went to the kitchen where Grace was making pickles. Grace. Tina found a love letter that Ashley sent to Luke. What? As I showed the photo of the letter I had taken on my phone, Grace made a face. What is this? It's disturbing. This is unfair to James.
why have such a flashy wedding if this is going on? If she didn't love him, why did she marry him?
Grace is visibly angry, her face turning red. At this point, I decided to tell Grace something that had been bothering me. Luke said he has to go back alone tomorrow because work suddenly came up, even though he was supposed to be on vacation. Grace looks up at me, as if deep in thought.
Doesn't that seem odd?
Exactly. Grace and I exchanged glances, both of us seemingly concerned about the same thing.
The timing is just too perfect. Plus, his brother and his wife are on their honeymoon in Hawaii. Do you think they're planning to meet up there?
I nodded in agreement. I hate to say it, but James is a very kind person who, unfortunately, is a bit naive and easily deceived. There's no doubt in my mind that the two of them plan to have a secret meeting without James noticing. After all the trouble to finally get married, and he ends up with a woman like that. It's even sadder because they seemed so happy.
Let's go.
With that, Grace suddenly stood up and began washing her hands.
All right, start packing for Hawaii. Your father's coming too. What?
I was genuinely surprised by Grace's sudden declaration, but she looked at me and smiled, clearly pleased.
We're going to expose everything. Do they have any idea how much we spent on that wedding? Just because he's marrying a younger woman, we even chipped in $30,000. This is no joke. We're definitely getting that back.
I couldn't help but applaud Grace's determination and immediately started to prepare as well. For some reason, Grace seemed strangely excited. But deep down, I was excited too.
Just wait. We'll make them wish they were never born.
The next morning, Luke was having breakfast, trying too hard to keep a straight face. It's really a shame you have to work after finally getting some time off. Just relax and enjoy your time. Even though no one was listening, Luke loudly announced his departure and left. In a flurry, we quickly packed our bags. Parents-in-law, Tina, and I left about 2 hours behind them. Luckily, we got the tickets and hotel with no issues. Tina is thrilled, shouting,
Plane! Plane!
We chose a lodging spot a bit away from the hotel where we heard James would be staying, so we wouldn't attract attention. Upon arrival, Grace decided to call James to see how things were going.
How's Hawaii?
Responding to Grace, James's relaxed voice came through the speakerphone. It's warm and relaxing. We're planning to go to see Life Park Hawaii tomorrow. Look forward to some souvenirs. James seemed to be having a great time but mentioned, well, my wife is going out to dinner with a friend who lives in Oahu tonight, so I'll be alone. Hearing that, Grace lifted her gaze and exchanged glances with me. No doubt, Luke and Ashley are probably having a secret meeting tonight.
Well, enjoy Hawaii.
Grace decided to hang up, perhaps concluding that now was not the time to say anything. It's sad for James, who is in the dark about all this. Who would have thought we'd catch Luke and Ashley on a date as soon as we landed? Though we had valuable information, my emotions were a mess. I wish it were a lie. I wish it were just Ashley's one-sided affection. But Luke had followed her all the way to Hawaii. Ignoring this wasn't an option anymore. After discussing with my parents-in-law, we decided that father-in-law Brian, who could blend in the most, should tail Ashley as she left the hotel for her date tonight. Brian put on a hat and a mask and transformed into an unnoticeable passerby in a second. Way to go, Dad. You're completely unnoticeable. Tina also says,
Grandpa, it suits you.
She's delighted. Whether he's being praised or teased, Brian, easily influenced by Grace's words, decided to stake out at a cafe in front of the hotel where James and his group are staying.
Hun, your mission is threefold. 1. Follow Ashley as she leaves the hotel. 2. Confirm she's meeting up with Luke. And 3. Keep an eye on her until she enters and leaves another hotel. Got it?
Brian nodded earnestly at Grace's forceful instructions. Equipped with his high-sensitivity DSLR camera and a big telephoto lens that he'd bought as a hobby, he headed out. We're incredibly grateful to Brian, who willingly took on the task despite the long hours it would entail. Grace, Tina, and I finished dinner and returned to the hotel. After putting Tina to bed, we waited for Brian's return. Surprisingly, Brian didn't come back until 3 in the morning. Let me sleep for now, he muttered as he crawled into bed, looking exhausted. So, we decided to hear the full story the next morning. The next day, as we looked at the photos Brian had taken while listening to his account, there was irrefutable evidence. True to his love for photography, Brian's shots were incredibly detailed. Even from a distance, you could see the two of them embracing clearly. So, she really is cheating after all. It's a hard truth to accept for James and me, but living a lie in a marriage is not an option. Seeing my downcast mood, Grace asserted,
We should put an end to this difficult time as soon as possible.
I couldn't agree more. For the second day, we learned James planned to go to Sea Life Park, Hawaii. We decided to rent a car and follow him there. Inside the park, we left Tina with Brian while Grace and I walked around. Soon enough, we spotted James and his wife. There was James, genuinely interested in the aquarium displays, and Ashley, glued to her phone, showing zero interest in the aquatic life. Just as we were about to approach them, Grace's phone rang. Apparently, Brian had spotted Luke coming out of the restroom.
They're probably planning to meet discreetly here as well, without my son noticing.
You're probably right. Let's wait for that moment. We kept our distance and waited for Ashley to make a move. Just as expected, within 10 minutes, she left James, who was busy looking at souvenirs, and started walking somewhere. We discreetly followed her into an exhibit area that was less crowded and had fewer visitors. Once she found Luke, she immediately leapt into his arms and hugged him.
Doing this without even realizing we're watching. What are you thinking?
Something inside me broke the moment I witnessed this reality, and I couldn't hold back any longer. I marched up to the embracing couple and pulled them apart. Luke was shocked, his eyes wide open at my sudden appearance. I unleashed several slaps on him right then and there.
Ow! Stop it!
I honestly don't remember how many times I hit him before Grace stopped me. Grace grabbed Ashley, who tried to escape when we showed up.
How dare you deceive my precious son? Sit down on the floor.
Frustrated, Luke and Ashley gave in and sat down on the floor. But causing more of a scene would bother other people around us. So, we all moved to the rental car for now. James was already in the car, looking sad. It seemed he'd heard about what happened from Brian. In the minivan, we pushed Luke and Ashley into the farthest back row, while Grace and I sat in the second row to block their exit.
When did you start cheating?
I'm not cheating or anything. Why are you all even in Hawaii?
What about you? Why are you here?
I'm here for work.
Don't lie. You came chasing after this woman, didn't you?
It's a coincidence. Even then, Luke still tried to deceive us. So I confronted him with the evidence photos that Brian had taken.
We can see you two were having fun until around 3 a.m. Brian followed you.
Luke sighed heavily. Ashley kept her eyes down and said nothing.
So, what Tina said during the wedding reception wasn't a lie, was it? You two were exercising the night before the wedding, weren't you?
Look, I was in a tough spot too. I was bothered when Ashley came on to me.
I told her multiple times that I have a loving wife and daughter, so it can't happen.
Right? Just then, Luke started to shift all the blame onto Ashley, who responded with an incredulous,
Huh?
Grabbing Luke, she yelled,
Who was the one saying, "Leave my brother and be with me"? No, I never said that.
Luke shot back, and their argument began to heat up. Back and forth they went, arguing about who said what. I didn't come to Hawaii to listen to this nonsense. Finally, I couldn't hold back any longer.
Enough!
What?
I don't care who initiated it. Why can't you just apologize when you've clearly betrayed me and James? I'm the victim here. If you try to dodge responsibility anymore, I'll make your life a living hell. What are you planning to do? Let's just say, I'll make sure everyone in your social and work circle recognizes you as the fool who slept with his brother's wife. What's the point of doing that? Well, if people aren't warned, you might try to make moves on their wives or girlfriends. I would never do that. You've already done it, haven't you?
He had no comeback. Luke fell silent. It turns out, during a family dinner that doubled as a meeting to sort things out, Ashley had developed a liking for Luke. Luke didn't mind the attention and continued a casual relationship with her. Bizarrely, Luke even suggested to Ashley, "Why don't you first marry my brother, get a share of his wealth in the divorce, and then marry me?" For some unknown reason, Ashley seemed to go along with it. Unbelievable, to be swayed by these two. Luke, who was supposed to be my husband, now looks utterly repulsive to me. This dirty man is all yours. I don't want him anymore.
Ashley, surprisingly pleased with my words, turns to me and smiles. Really?
What was all that fighting about just moments ago?
But let me tell you, a man like this will definitely do it again. Cheating outside is one thing, but hitting on a family member is just sick. Especially when he falls for a terrible woman like you, there's no cure.
Ashley, entirely unfazed by my words, smirks as if she's won.
Is that a cry of defeat, I wonder?
Well, do enjoy your few months together. Then, even Luke joins in, grabbing Ashley's hand and starting to celebrate. What an incredibly cheerful pair they are.
Because of you, I spent $30,000 on a wedding we didn't even need to have. I expect that money back. I'll also be seeking compensation in the divorce proceedings. I expect $20,000 from each of you.
Hearing me and Grace's demands, Ashley suddenly shouts,
That's totally unfair.
Luke joins in, saying,
As if we can afford that. If you don't pay, we'll go through lawyers and take this to court. If you two can find happiness under a $70,000 debt, be my guest. This is outrageous. We just loved each other a little. That's precisely the problem. You'll both be held fully responsible for what you did.
Just then, James suddenly started moving the rental car.
Where do you think you're going?
James drove silently, and when he reached a deserted area near the ocean, he took their wallets and cell phones and left them there. I was surprised. I had never seen James this angry before. As the rental car pulled away,
Don't leave us here.
their cries of,
Please, come back.
echoed.
Watch out for snakes and mongoose, okay?
I waved cheerfully as I said this. I wonder how long it would take to walk back to town from here. I hope they make it back safely. Just then, I received a call from Brian. Tina is looking for you, Bianca. And we decided to head back to the aquarium.
Let's enjoy Hawaii while we're here.
Absolutely. We returned to the aquarium. At the large tank, James is holding Tina's hand and both seem engrossed by the sharks. They actually look happy. Better to see these lovely smiles than waste time on fools. Brian's words lifted my spirits. James also appears quite relieved, which is surprising considering he was just betrayed by his new wife.
I bet he's hurting inside. I know I am, being betrayed by Luke. But I refuse to shed tears over them.
I thought James must feel the same. Later on, James and Ashley's divorce is finalized. Only 5 days had passed since the wedding reception, but James returned all the wedding gifts to the guests. I also finalized my divorce with Luke, and Tina will now be living with me. I ended up getting all the assets in the divorce settlement. We agreed on $400 per month for child support. Luke, ever conscious of what others think, easily agreed when parents-in-law and I, through our lawyers, demanded money from him. He ended up shouldering a $70,000 repayment. But you can't control what people will say. Rumors spread easily that he had an affair with his brother's wife and even followed her to Hawaii. Friends began to distance themselves. Even at work, the rumors got around. He got transferred from his high-performance sales team to a basement document storage area. It's been a year now, and I'm still on good terms with my in-laws. Just the other day, while looking through a school backpack catalog with my soon-to-be elementary school daughter, she said,
"Grandma will buy it for you."
"No, Grandpa will buy it." It'll be a lasting joke that the room went silent when Tina said,
"Let's settle this with a gymnastics competition."